You've been told to put your trust only in what you can see, touch, and control. The world says you must chase after success, hold everything together, and fight for every moment, or else it will all fall apart. And yet, with all that grasping, why does your chest still feel heavy? Why does your mind still race at night, wondering if things will truly be okay? Why does trying to manage everything only create more worry, more pressure, more doubt? The truth is, trust isn't about closing your eyes and hoping for the best. Real trust is a deeper kind of knowing, the quiet recognition that life has its own rhythm, that even within chaos, there is a hidden order. The universe is not your enemy, it is your teacher. Buddhism doesn't ask you for blind belief. It offers a map back to the calm you've always carried within, a peace that does not disappear when life feels uncertain, a strength that doesn't demand control, but flows naturally from letting go. As you rest tonight, these teachings will begin to soften the tension you've been holding. The noise of the mind will quiet, and beneath it all, something steady will awaken, a calm, a clarity, a trust not in appearances, but in the truth underneath everything. This is not just another bedtime story. This is a return, a journey back to the part of you that has always been whole, always been safe, always known the way. Let us begin. All your life, you've been told that safety comes from holding on tightly, from working harder, planning more carefully, and never letting anything slip through your fingers. So you grip each moment like a rope you're afraid to lose. You cling to schedules, to outcomes, to the illusion that if you just stay vigilant enough, you can make life obey your will. But holding everything in your hands is exhausting, isn't it? The body tightens, the jaw clenches, the chest feels heavy. Even in sleep, your mind rehearses the what-ifs, the unfinished tasks, the fragile hopes. You wake up weary because control never lets you rest. Think of all the ways control disguises itself. It shows up in the endless lists you chase, in the conversations you replay, wishing you had said something different, in the fear that if you stop pushing, everything will fall apart. And yet, no matter how much you try, life always finds a way to move in directions you never planned. The truth is, control promises peace, but delivers pressure. It whispers, if you can just keep everything in place, then you'll finally feel safe. But every time you reach that finish line, another appears in the distance. It is like trying to hold water in your fist. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips away. Imagine standing on the shore of the ocean. Waves rise and fall, completely indifferent to whether you brace against them or not. You could shout at the tide, command it to stop, demand that the sea stay calm. But the ocean does what it has always done. It moves. Control is shouting at the waves. Peace is learning to float. But before peace can come, you must first see clearly the cost of this endless grasping. How many nights have you laid awake, your mind spinning? How many days have you walked through heavy with worry, believing that if you just thought harder, tried longer, forced stronger, you could bend reality to your will? And how many times did all that effort leave you no closer to peace? The struggle with control is universal. Every person you meet carries some version of it. Parents worried for their children, leaders afraid to fail, lovers fearing loss. Beneath it all lies the same belief that life can be managed into safety. But safety built on control is fragile. One phone call, one diagnosis, one unexpected turn, and the whole illusion collapses. This is why Buddhism begins not with promises, but with recognition. It asks you to see suffering for what it is, not as punishment, not as weakness, but as a teacher. Suffering reveals the places you cling, and in those very places, it invites you to loosen. The weight of control is not yours to carry forever. You are not meant to spend your life clutching the rope of certainty until your hands bleed. Instead, you are invited to place that rope down, to breathe, to notice that even when you let go, life does not fall apart. The waves still move, the earth still turns, your heart still beats. In this moment, you can begin to see that peace is not waiting for you at the end of control. Peace is what rises when control falls away. And so tonight, we begin by laying down that heavy weight, not forever, not perfectly, but just for now, just long enough for your shoulders to soften, your mind to rest, and your spirit to remember what freedom feels like. Everywhere you look, the world promises certainty. If you can just earn enough money, you'll be safe. If you can just build the right career, you'll be secure. If you can just find the perfect partner, you'll never feel alone. But have you noticed how fragile these promises really are? The job that seems so stable disappears overnight. The person who once said forever walks away. The health you took for granted shifts with a single test result. Certainty, it seems, always has an expiration date. Still, we chase it. We spend years collecting achievements, titles, and possessions, hoping they will finally settle the restless heart. We arrange and rearrange our lives like pieces on a chessboard, convinced that if we just move carefully enough, nothing unexpected will knock us down. But life is not a chessboard. Life is a river. And no matter how carefully you place the stones, the current moves them. The water does not ask your permission. It simply flows. This is why chasing certainty feels like running in circles. You may catch it for a moment, but like sand in your hand, it always slips through. Even when you get exactly what you wanted, the promotion, the house, the relationship, a new worry appears. What if I lose it? What if it doesn't last? What if I'm not enough to keep it? And so the very thing you thought would bring peace becomes another weight to carry. The Buddha called this the cycle of craving. Desire creates attachment, attachment creates fear, and fear creates suffering. The more you cling, the more fragile you feel. The more you demand permanence, the more every change feels like a threat. But change is the only constant. Think of the seasons. No matter how much you love the summer sun, autumn will come. No matter how much you cling to the blossoms of spring, winter will fall. Life is always moving, always shifting, always transforming. The mistake is believing that certainty is the source of peace. Peace does not come from locking life in place. Peace comes from learning to rest while life moves. Imagine sitting beside a fire. If you try to trap the flames, they vanish. But if you let them dance, the warmth reaches you. Life is the same. Its beauty is found not in holding still, but in letting it burn as it will. When you stop chasing certainty, something softens inside you. The endless running slows, the anxious questions quiet, and what is left is a steady awareness, a calm that does not depend on circumstances. This is why mindfulness teaches us to rest in the present moment, because here and now, there is no certainty to hold, and no need to hold it. Right now, in this breath, you are safe. Right now, in this pause, nothing is missing. Right now, the heart can rest without knowing what tomorrow will bring. You do not need certainty to find peace. You need presence. And so tonight, as you listen, You are invited to stop running, to stop chasing what will always slip away, to lay down the illusion of certainty and discover the stillness that has always been within you. Sometimes the mind understands best through pictures, through metaphors that make the invisible visible. Control is like a fist. Imagine clenching your hand as tightly as you can. At first, it feels strong, like you're holding everything together, but after a while, your hand begins to ache. The tension builds. The strength becomes weakness. Now imagine opening that hand, letting the fingers soften. Suddenly, there is ease. The muscles relax, the ache disappears, and the hand is free again. This is the difference between control and peace. Control is the tight fist. Peace is the open hand. Another picture. Think of a storm. The wind howls, the rain lashes, the sky tears with thunder. If you try to fight the storm, shouting against the wind, you only exhaust yourself. You cannot push the clouds back into place. You cannot demand the lightning to stop. But if you wait, the storm passes. Always, it passes. The trees bend, but they do not shatter. The earth drinks in the rain, and slowly, the sky clears. Control is standing in the middle of the storm, fists raised, screaming at the sky. Peace is becoming like the tree bending with the wind, trusting that calm will return. Or imagine a river. You can stand in its waters, bracing yourself, legs trembling as the current presses against you. You can fight with all your strength, but eventually, the river wins. But if you lift your feet, if you float, the river carries you effortlessly. The same current that felt like an enemy becomes your support. Control is bracing against the current. Peace is floating in the flow. Metaphors help us see what words alone sometimes cannot. They remind us that life does not need to be forced into shape. It already has a shape, one we can trust, if only we soften. Think of your own life. Where have you been clenching? Where have you been shouting at the storm? Where have you been bracing against the current? What would it feel like, even for one breath, to release the fist, to let the storm rage without fighting it, to float instead of resist? When we live inside control, we forget that the universe has carried countless generations before us. The sun rose before we were born, and it will rise long after we are gone. The rivers flowed, the storms moved, the trees bent and swayed. We are part of this same rhythm. The hand was never meant to clench forever. The body was not made to fight the storm endlessly. The heart was not built to resist the current for a lifetime. So here, in this story, you are given permission to loosen, to bend, to float. And as you rest tonight, may these images stay with you: the open hand, the tree in the storm, the body floating in the river. Each one is a reminder. Peace is not something you must chase or force. It is what arises the moment you stop fighting. Think about the nights when your body longs for rest, but your mind refuses to quiet. You lie in the dark, the world around you silent, yet inside you there is noise, racing thoughts, replayed conversations, worries that swell larger in the emptiness of midnight. You tell yourself, if I just think harder, I'll find the solution. If I just plan better, I'll stop this from happening again. And so you wrestle with tomorrow before it even arrives. But tomorrow cannot be solved at 2 a.m. And yet, you try. Your chest grows tight, your breath shallow. Hours pass. The body begs for sleep, but the mind insists on control. The cost of control is sleeplessness. And not just at night. During the day, the same weight presses down. The endless checking of schedules, the scanning for what could go wrong, the second guessing of every choice. It is like carrying a heavy stone in your pocket, always aware of its presence, always adjusting your steps to keep from stumbling. Control promises safety, but it steals your peace. When you live this way, you may notice tension in your body, a clenched jaw, tight shoulders, a stomach that never quite feels settled. The body remembers what the mind refuses to release. And over time, that tension shapes you. It shortens your breath. It wears down your energy. It dims your joy. But the greater cost is not just physical. It is spiritual. Control makes life feel smaller. Every moment becomes a problem to solve, a danger to avoid, a weight to carry. You lose sight of the wonder, the ease, the mystery. You stop noticing the way sunlight warms your skin, the way laughter echoes and softens the heart, the way silence, when allowed, becomes its own kind of healing. Because when control leads, everything else is drowned out. So pause for a moment. Ask yourself gently, what is control costing me right now? Perhaps it is costing you rest, perhaps joy, perhaps freedom, perhaps the simple sweetness of being here without needing to fix or force anything. The Buddha taught that suffering is not the enemy, it is the teacher. And what does suffering teach in these sleepless nights? It teaches that control cannot give you the peace you long for. The very effort to grasp peace is what pushes it further away. But when you notice the pattern, when you see clearly what control has cost you, you open the door to another way. You give yourself permission to set the heavy stone down. This is why reflection matters, not to blame yourself, not to add another weight, but to see, to recognize, to wake up to the truth that you do not have to live this way forever. Tonight, you are invited to notice the cost of control, and then to release it, to lay down the stone, to unclench the fist, to allow the storm to pass without fighting it. And in this noticing, already something shifts, the body loosens, the breath deepens, the heart softens. Control may have cost you much, but peace is always waiting, right here, the moment you choose to let go. Every teaching begins with an opening, a doorway through which you can step into a different way of being. You have spent so much of your life clinging, planning, pushing. Perhaps you believed there was no other choice. Perhaps you were told that control was strength, that letting go was weakness. But what if the opposite is true? What if the deepest strength is not in holding everything together, but in trusting that things will not fall apart when you open your hand? What if letting go is not surrendering to defeat, but surrendering to peace? Life is inviting you, even now, to soften, to loosen your grip on tomorrow, to lay aside the endless rehearsals of what could go wrong, to notice that in this breath, right here, nothing is missing. The Buddha once said, "Let go of what is not yours. Do not carry the burden of what does not belong to you." These words are not meant to scold, but to free. So much of what you carry is not yours to hold. The expectations of others, the outcomes of the future, the illusions of control, all of these can be placed gently down. You do not have to resolve everything tonight. You do not have to solve tomorrow before it arrives. All that is asked of you is to rest in this moment. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a vast meadow. You've carried a heavy pack for miles, but now, as you step into the open field, you set it down. The weight leaves your shoulders. The air feels lighter. The horizon stretches wide before you. This is what it feels like to lay down control. And just as the meadow holds you, life itself can hold you. The ground beneath your feet, the rhythm of your breath, the heartbeat that continues without your command, all of it reminds you, you are supported. Trust is not blind. It is not pretending that pain does not exist. Trust is seeing clearly that even in the presence of uncertainty, there is also stability. Even in change, there is continuity. Even in endings, there are beginnings. When you open your hand, when you step aside from the illusion of control, you discover something far more steady, the quiet ground of being, always here, always enough. So tonight, as you rest, let yourself walk through that doorway. Let yourself breathe in the possibility of another way, not the path of control, but the path of peace. Not the fist, but the open hand. Not the storm, but the calm after. Not the struggle, but the surrender. This is your invitation, soft, gentle, but clear, a chance to put down the burden and to remember what it feels like to simply be. And as we continue, know that you do not walk this path alone. These teachings are ancient. They have carried countless people before you. They can carry you now. So rest here, at the threshold. Breathe. Let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw unclench. Let your mind begin to settle. There is another way, and it begins now. When people hear the word surrender, they often mistake it for giving up. They imagine defeat, collapse, weakness. They think of resignation, the heavy sigh that says, "There is nothing I can do, so why bother trying?" But surrender is not the same as resignation. Resignation is born from despair. It says, "The world is cruel, and I have no power." It drains life of color, replacing hope with bitterness. It leaves you feeling small and trapped, as if you are only drifting without choice. Surrender, in contrast, is alive. Surrender is not hopelessness, it is freedom. It is the choice to lay down the burden of control, not because you are powerless, but because you finally see that clinging was never the source of strength. Resignation feels like a cage. Surrender feels like an open sky. Think of a bird that struggles against the wind. If it resists, it wastes its strength, flapping desperately against the current. But if it spreads its wings and surrenders to the air, the same wind lifts it higher. This is the difference. Resignation collapses, surrender rises. When you resign yourself to life, you stop engaging. You stop noticing beauty. Stop caring for yourself. Stop offering love to others. You shut down. But when you surrender, you open. You soften. You trust that the current of life can carry you, even when you cannot see the destination. There is courage in surrender, a quiet, steady courage that refuses to waste energy fighting the inevitable. Instead, it learns to flow with what is, and in that flow discovers peace. Surrender does not mean that you stop making choices. It means you make them from a place of clarity, not fear. You act, but you do not cling to the outcome. You love, but you do not demand guarantees. You live, but you do not grasp at permanence. The Buddha once taught that suffering arises from attachment, not from living, not from loving, but from clinging to what cannot be held forever. Surrender is the gentle untying of those knots. It is the recognition that life is already moving, already unfolding. You are not giving up on it. You are stepping into it fully, with open eyes and open hands. Take a moment now to reflect. Where in your life have you mistaken resignation for surrender? Where have you collapsed in despair, believing there was no way forward, when in truth another path was waiting? Perhaps it was in a relationship, where you thought love was gone, but what was really needed was release. Perhaps in your work, where a closed door made you feel stuck, but surrender might reveal another opening. Surrender does not erase difficulty, but it changes your relationship with it. Instead of bracing and breaking, you bend. Instead of shutting down, you expand. Instead of despair, you discover a peace that cannot be taken away. And so, tonight, let us practice this distinction. We are not resigning ourselves to fate. We are not collapsing into helplessness. We are surrendering into freedom. We are laying down the weight of control so that we may rise with the wind. Surrender is not weakness. It is strength in its gentlest form. And as we continue, you will see how this strength can guide you into peace. Stories have a way of reaching the heart more deeply than explanations. In Zen, parables are not just lessons, they are doors, quietly opening into truth. One such story is told of a monk who lived in a small hut on the edge of the forest. He owned almost nothing, just a robe, a bowl, and the simple shelter above his head. One night, a thief crept into his hut, but there was nothing to steal. The thief grew angry, frustrated by the emptiness. Seeing this, the monk said softly, "You have come so far, and yet I have nothing to give you." The monk paused, then smiled. "But wait, there is one thing." He stepped outside, pointed to the night sky, and said, "I wish I could give you the moon." The thief stared, bewildered. There was no wealth, no gold, no treasure, just silence, stars, and the bright moon above. And in that moment, something shifted. The thief left without anger, carrying with him not possessions, but a strange stillness he could not explain. This is the power of surrender. The monk did not resist. He did not fight, defend, or despair over his lack of possessions. Instead, he surrendered to what was true. He had nothing to lose, and so he was free. Surrender, here, was not weakness. It was strength beyond the thief's understanding. For what can you take from one who clings to nothing? Think of the times you have felt robbed of time, of opportunity, of love. The instinct is to fight, to clutch tighter to what remains. But what if, in that moment, you discovered the freedom of letting go? No one can steal the moon from you. No one can steal the stillness within you. No one can steal the truth that peace does not depend on possessions or outcomes or approval. This story is not about poverty. It is about richness, the richness of being so free that even loss cannot wound you, the richness of resting in what cannot be taken away. The monk's gift was not gold, but perspective. He showed the thief a different kind of treasure, the kind that shines brighter than any jewel and cannot be stolen. So ask yourself, what treasures do you cling to? Which ones keep you up at night, afraid they might slip through your fingers? And then ask, what would it feel like to release them, even for a moment, to stand beneath the open sky and realize that the most precious gift has been with you all along, the quiet, steady presence that no one can take away. This is surrender, not resignation, not defeat, but a freedom so vast it shines like the moon in the night sky. Tonight, let the story of the monk be your teacher. Let it remind you that you carry nothing, and therefore you carry everything. You are lighter than you think. You are freer than you know. And just like the thief, you too may leave tonight with something unexpected, not what you came to grasp, but a stillness you never knew was waiting. Not all surrender is dramatic. Sometimes it is as gentle as the body finally exhaling after a long day. Soft surrender is the surrender of rest, the quiet decision to stop striving, stop pushing, stop carrying what was never yours to hold. It does not announce itself with thunder or lightning. It arrives like dusk, slow, steady, unnoticed at first, until you realize the whole sky has changed. Soft surrender begins when you give yourself permission to stop, to rest, not because the work is done, but because the heart needs peace. Think of lying down at night. At first, the mind resists. It lists the tasks left unfinished, the conversations not yet had, the worries about tomorrow. But slowly, if you let it, the body leads the way. The muscles relax, the breath deepens, the eyelids grow heavy. This is soft surrender, not a collapse, but a release. It is the feeling of setting a heavy bag down after carrying it too far. It is the relief of loosening shoes that pinched your feet. It is the sweetness of silence after a noisy day. Soft surrender is not giving up. It is giving back, returning the weight to the world, trusting that you do not need to carry it alone. The Buddha once compared clinging to carrying a torch against the wind. The harder you grip it, the more it burns you. Release the torch, and the pain ends. Soft surrender is that release. And it can be practiced in the smallest of ways. When you pause in the middle of a busy day and take one slow, conscious breath. When you put down your phone and step outside to feel the sun on your face. When you choose to forgive yourself for not being perfect. Each of these is a moment of soft surrender. Notice how the body responds to these moments. Shoulders drop, the jaw loosens, the heart begins to beat in a steadier rhythm. The mind, once spinning, starts to quiet. This is not weakness. This is wisdom. Because soft surrender is the doorway to renewal. When you release the constant effort to control, you create space for peace to enter. You create room for stillness, for clarity, for the gentle rhythms of life to move through you. Imagine sitting by a stream, watching leaves float by. You do not need to chase them. You do not need to hold them. You simply watch, and in watching, you rest. That is soft surrender. So tonight, as you rest here, allow yourself to practice. Allow the body to loosen, the breath to deepen, the mind to slow. Allow yourself to stop holding everything so tightly. You do not need to solve life tonight. You do not need to force peace to come. You need only to let go, softly, gently, like leaves settling onto water. This is the gift of soft surrender, rest without regret, release without fear, peace without condition. And as you lean into this gift, you will find that the world does not fall apart when you let go. Instead, it comes together in a way you could never have forced. Soft surrender is not the end of effort. It is the beginning of ease. Not all surrender is soft. Sometimes, surrender has fire in it. Sometimes, it looks like strength in its most unshakable form. Fierce surrender is the surrender of boundaries, the choice to release what no longer serves you, even if it means walking away. This is not resignation. It is not bitterness. It is the clarity that arises when you finally stop feeding what drains your spirit. Imagine carrying a rope in a tug-of-war. You pull with all your might, and on the other side, someone pulls just as hard. Your hands burn, your body strains, and the rope cuts deeper the longer you hold on. Fierce surrender is the moment you open your hands and let the rope fall. The struggle ends, not because the battle was won, but because you chose not to fight it anymore. This kind of surrender often surprises people. They think of surrender only as softness, but true surrender takes many forms. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it roars. To set a boundary is to say, I will no longer carry what is not mine. It is to trust that your peace matters enough to protect. Consider the Buddha's teaching of the poisoned arrow. A man struck by an arrow refuses to let the doctor remove it until he knows who shot it, what kind of bow was used, what the arrow is made of. In his obsession, he misses the chance to heal. Fierce surrender is pulling out the arrow without waiting for every answer. In life, the arrows may be toxic relationships, harmful habits, or endless cycles of self-criticism. Fierce surrender is the moment you choose to release them, not because it is easy, but because holding them keeps you from healing. Think of the lotus flower. It blooms in muddy water, but it does not cling to the mud. Its roots are in the darkness, but its petals open to the light. Fierce surrender is this refusal to stay trapped in the muck. It is the courage to rise, even when the water pulls. And sometimes, fierce surrender looks like leaving the argument that never ends, leaving the path that no longer feeds your growth, leaving behind the burden of trying to control what cannot be controlled. This is not escape, this is wisdom. For when you walk away from what poisons you, you are walking toward peace. When you release the tug of war, you free your hands to hold something gentler, something true. So ask yourself tonight, what rope have you been holding too long? What arrow have you refused to release? Where in your life is fierce surrender calling you to act? It may feel frightening at first, but remember, letting go is not the same as losing. Sometimes, it is the only way to truly win. The courage of fierce surrender is not loud. It does not need to shout. It simply knows when enough is enough and trusts that peace lies on the other side of release. So as you rest, know this: you are strong enough to set down what hurts you, strong enough to walk away from what weighs you down, strong enough to protect the stillness inside. This is the roar of surrender, not a cry of defeat, but a declaration of freedom. Surrender does not only happen in quiet monasteries or dramatic moments of decision. It is lived in the small choices, woven into the fabric of everyday life. In work, surrender means showing up fully, but releasing the illusion that you can control every outcome. You may prepare for the meeting, polish your words, and give your best effort, but once spoken, your words are no longer yours. They ripple outward, shaped by the ears that hear them, the moods in the room, the conditions you cannot command. To surrender here is to offer your effort without clinging to the result, to know that worth is not measured by praise or promotion, but by the integrity with which you give yourself to the task. In love, surrender means opening your heart, while knowing you cannot dictate how another person will respond. You can love fully, but you cannot force them to love you in return. You can show kindness, but you cannot script how it will be received. To surrender in love is to risk without control, to give without demand, to rest in the beauty of connection without gripping it so tightly that it breaks. And in family, surrender may mean letting go of the need to shape every path. Parents watch children grow, children watch parents age. Each one longs to protect, to guide, to hold. But life moves on its own. Surrender is the quiet trust that love itself is enough, even when you cannot protect against every sorrow. In friendships, surrender means allowing space, letting others come and go, change and grow, without clinging to the way things used to be. Even in conversation, surrender appears. You listen not to control the response, but to understand. You speak not to win, but to share. You release the grip of needing to be right, and in that release, connection deepens. Surrender is also found in the ordinary rhythms of the body. Every breath is a lesson. You inhale, you hold for a moment, and then you must let go. If you cling to the inhale, you suffocate. Only in releasing do you make space for the next breath to arrive. This is the truth of all things. What is not surrendered becomes suffocating. What is released becomes life-giving. So ask yourself, where in your daily life can you soften your grip? Where can you let go of the demand to control and instead show up with presence, with trust? Perhaps in work, it is allowing your best to be enough without needing it to be perfect. Perhaps in love, it is cherishing the moment without fearing its end. Perhaps in family, it is releasing the illusion that you can shield those you love from every difficulty. These are not small surrenders. They are the ground upon which peace is built. For peace is not found in escape, but in engagement, meeting life fully while holding it lightly. So tonight, as you rest, consider how surrender might weave itself quietly into your work, your love, your relationships, not as weakness, but as wisdom, not as loss, but as freedom. The invitation is simple: to live with open hands, to let life move as it will, while you move with it. This is daily surrender, ordinary, simple, transformative. Close your eyes gently, if they are not closed already. Allow your body to settle into the surface beneath you, supported without effort. Take a slow inhale and an easy exhale. Let the breath be your guide tonight. As you breathe, bring to mind something you've been holding tightly. It may be a worry about tomorrow, a lingering regret, or a hope that feels fragile. See it clearly, without judgment. Now, notice how it feels in the body to cling to it. The tension in your chest, the tightness in your jaw, the heaviness in your shoulders. Simply notice. The Buddha once said, "You can only lose what you cling to." Let these words sink in. If you cling to control, to certainty, to permanence, you live in constant fear of losing them. But when you loosen your grip, when you soften your hold, what remains cannot be lost. Take another breath in and out. Imagine now that what you've been holding is like a stone in your hand. Your fist is tight, gripping it with all your strength. Feel the strain in the muscles, the fatigue in the effort. Now, slowly, imagine your fingers beginning to uncurl. One by one, they open. The stone rests in your palm, but you are no longer clenching it. Notice the shift, the relief, the release. If you wish, you may let the stone roll gently from your hand, back to the earth, back to where it belongs. Watch as the weight leaves you. Take a breath here. Inhale freedom, exhale release. Loosening the grip does not mean you stop caring. It does not mean you abandon responsibility. It simply means you trust that peace does not come from holding on, but from letting life move as it will. Picture yourself standing by a flowing river. In your hands are sticks and leaves. You've gathered your worries, your expectations, your fears. One by one, you place them in the water. Watch as the current carries them away. Watch as your hands become lighter, emptier, freer. Each release is a practice in trust. Trust that the river knows where to carry them. Trust that you do not need to follow. Trust that your only task is to let go. The Buddha's words echo again. You can only lose what you cling to. Tonight, may you practice loosening the grip. May you discover that what you thought you would lose by letting go was never truly yours to carry. May you rest in the freedom of open hands. Take one more deep breath and let it go. Rest now. The weight is no longer yours. Mindfulness is often described as awareness of the present moment, but words alone can feel too thin for such a living practice. A better way to see it is to imagine yourself sitting by the side of a river. The water flows steadily, carrying twigs, leaves, petals, even entire branches downstream. Each thought that arises in your mind is like one of those objects floating past. A memory drifts by like a leaf. A worry about tomorrow rushes past like a stick caught in the current. A dream or desire glimmers like sunlight on the surface. You do not need to jump into the water to chase them. You do not need to grab them before they are gone. You simply sit and watch. This is mindfulness. The mistake we so often make is thinking that the river should stop flowing, that a quiet mind means no thoughts at all, but the river has always moved and always will. Peace does not come from freezing the current. It comes from learning to sit on the bank. When you practice mindfulness, you learn the art of watching without clinging. A thought appears, and you notice, here is worry. A thought appears, and you name it, here is memory. Then, you let it float on. This simple act changes everything, because when you stop wrestling with thoughts, you stop drowning in them. Imagine the difference. One life is spent thrashing in the river, exhausted, trying to control every stick and leaf. The other life is spent sitting in stillness, allowing the water to carry its gifts and burdens alike. Which life feels lighter? Mindfulness does not demand perfection. It does not ask you to push thoughts away. It simply invites you to notice them, and then let them pass. Try this now. Close your eyes, if you wish. Notice the next thought that arises. Do not hold it. Do not fight it. Simply say, here is a thought, then let it float by, as if carried on water. And notice the space that opens when you do, the quiet between thoughts, the silence beneath the current. That silence is always there, waiting. The Buddha once said, do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment. These words are the essence of sitting by the river. The past is already downstream. The future has not yet arrived, but the present is here, flowing in this breath. Every time you return to the breath, you return to the riverbank. This is mindfulness, not escape, but engagement, a gentle watching that allows the heart to remain steady, even as the current moves. Tonight, as you listen, may you rest on that riverbank. May you notice the thoughts as they pass, without needing to swim after them. May you find peace in the simple act of sitting still. The river flows, and still, you are at peace. The mind is like the sky, vast, open, limitless. Thoughts are the clouds drifting across it. Some are soft and light, others are heavy and dark, but none of them are the sky itself. Too often, we forget this. We mistake the clouds for the sky, and we mistake our thoughts for who we are. A single anxious thought appears, and suddenly we are caught in its storm. A single regret surfaces, and suddenly the past pulls us under. One fear about tomorrow arises, and suddenly we are drowning in a future that hasn't even arrived. But mindfulness teaches us another way. It reminds us that we are not the storm. We are the witness to the storm. We are the wide open sky in which thoughts pass. When you witness your thoughts without drowning in them, you step back into your true nature, steady, spacious, unshaken. Imagine sitting by a fire. Sparks rise swirling into the air. Each spark is like a thought. You do not need to catch it or follow it. You simply notice it as it flickers and then fades into the night. This is how you can live with your thoughts, not as their captive, but as their witness. The Buddha once said, "Rule your mind, or it will rule you." These words are not about control in the old sense. They are about awareness. To rule the mind is not to force it into silence, but to see it clearly, and in seeing, to be free from its chains. Right now, you can practice. Close your eyes gently. Notice the next thought that arises. Do not fight it. Do not push it away. Simply say, "Here is a thought." Then let it pass. Watch as it drifts, like a cloud across the sky, like a leaf across the water. Notice that you are still here, steady, unchanged. This practice creates space, a single breath between you and the thought, and in that space lies freedom. Without awareness, a thought sweeps you away before you even realize it. With awareness, you stand firm, watching as it passes. The difference is everything. When you witness without drowning, the mind loses its power to control you. Anxious thoughts no longer spiral you into panic. Painful memories no longer trap you in the past. Desires no longer drag you endlessly into craving. You remain here, grounded, present. And over time, you may notice something profound. Thoughts are not enemies. They are visitors. They come, they go, they pass through. You need only greet them with awareness and let them move on. This is the art of witnessing. It is the practice of remembering that you are not the clouds, but the sky, not the river's debris, but the still ground beside it. Tonight, as you rest, may you practice this witnessing. May you notice your thoughts, but no longer drown in them. May you find peace in the spaciousness of the sky within you. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who sees them. When the mind drifts, the breath remains. When thoughts scatter in every direction, the body is still here. This is why mindfulness always begins with the breath and the body. They are the anchors that hold you steady in the present. Take a slow breath now. Feel the air move in through your nose, cool and gentle. Notice the rise of your chest, the soft expansion of your belly. Then release, letting the breath fall away on its own. This simple act is a reminder. You are here. You are alive. You are safe in this moment. The Buddha taught, breathing in, I calm body and mind. Breathing out, I smile. Such a simple practice, yet it carries the power to transform even the most restless heart. When you focus on the breath, you step out of the chaos of thought and into the rhythm of life itself. Each inhale carries nourishment. Each exhale carries release. The body, too, is a teacher. It speaks in sensations, warmth, tension, ease, heaviness. By listening to the body, you return to what is real. You notice where you are holding on, and you learn to let go. Bring your attention now to your shoulders. Notice if they are tight, drawn upward, as if carrying invisible weight. With your next exhale, imagine that weight melting down your arms, flowing into the earth. Shift your awareness to your jaw. Is it clenched, holding words unsaid, holding stress unspoken? Soften it now, letting the tongue rest gently, the teeth part slightly. Notice the relief as the muscles loosen. Now feel the rhythm of your heartbeat. It has been steady all along, carrying you through each moment without demand, without complaint. Allow yourself to rest in gratitude for this constant companion. The breath and the body are always present. Unlike the mind, they do not wander into the past or the future. They keep you grounded here, in the only place peace can be found. Imagine a boat in a storm, tossed by waves. Without an anchor, it drifts aimlessly, pulled wherever the current demands. But with an anchor, it holds steady, even as the waters move. Your breath, your body, are that anchor. When thoughts rise like storms, you can always return here. Inhale, exhale, notice the body, feel the ground beneath you. Remember, you are not lost, you are held. This is the gift of mindfulness, not to silence the storm, but to steady yourself within it, not to erase thought, but to remember that beneath thought is breath, and beneath breath is peace. So tonight, as you rest, allow the breath to guide you, allow the body to be your anchor. When the mind drifts, return. When worry stirs, return. When doubt pulls, return. Always, the breath is here. Always, the body is here. Always, you are here. Anchored, steady, at peace. Uncertainty is one of the most difficult teachers. The mind craves answers, clarity, and control. It whispers, if I just knew what was coming, I could finally rest. But life does not unfold according to our timelines. The future remains hidden, like a path turning out of sight. No matter how much we plan, the unknown always waits just ahead. At first, this can feel frightening. The unknown seems like a threat, a shadow holding dangers we cannot see. But mindfulness teaches us to sit with that uncertainty, not as an enemy, but as part of the fabric of life itself. The Buddha once said, "Do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment." These words remind us that peace is never found in certainty. It is found here, in presence. Think of standing at the edge of a forest at night. The path disappears into the darkness, and you cannot see more than a few steps ahead. If you demand to see the whole journey before moving, you will remain frozen. But if you trust each step, guided by the light you carry, the path reveals itself little by little. This is presence in uncertainty, walking steadily, one breath at a time, without needing to see the entire way. When you bring your awareness to this moment, uncertainty loosens its grip. The mind no longer races toward what if. Instead, it rests in what island. Take a slow inhale now. Notice how the air fills your lungs. Take a gentle exhale. Feel the ground beneath you. In this breath, there is no uncertainty. There is only presence. The truth is, certainty is an illusion. Even the things we believe are fixed can shift in an instant. But presence is real. It is always available, always steady, always enough. Consider how much suffering arises from trying to control the unknown, rehearsing every possible outcome, imagining every possible failure. But none of those futures exist right now. What exists is this moment. And in this moment, you are safe. Presence in uncertainty does not mean ignoring the future. It means not being consumed by it. It means making space to live fully, here and now, while tomorrow unfolds on its own. Imagine sitting on the bank of a river, watching the current carry leaves downstream. You do not need to know where the river ends in order to rest by its side. You do not need certainty to experience peace. You need only presence. So tonight, as you rest, allow uncertainty to soften. Allow yourself to release the demand for answers. Instead, return to this breath, this heartbeat, this stillness. The future will come, as it always does. But for now, you are here. Presence is your refuge. Presence is your freedom. Presence is your peace. So often, when the mind is restless and the heart is heavy, a quiet thought creeps in. Something must be wrong with me. You may believe that your inability to silence the mind is proof of failure, that your struggle with worry, fear, or craving means you are broken. But mindfulness offers a different truth. You are not broken. You are the witness. The storm of thought may rage, the waves of emotion may crash, but beneath it all, there is an awareness untouched by the storm, a stillness that does not shatter, no matter how wild the surface becomes. The Buddha taught, "Peace comes from within, do not seek it without." These words remind us that wholeness is not something you earn, or fix, or chase. It is something you remember, something you uncover by sitting quietly and noticing what has always been here. Imagine the sky again. Storm clouds gather, lightning flashes, thunder roars. For a time, the sky seems filled with chaos, but has the sky itself ever been harmed? No. The sky remains vast, open, steady. The storm is only passing through. In the same way, your awareness, your true self, is never damaged by the passing storm of thoughts or feelings. When you believe you are broken, you identify with the storm, but when you remember you are the witness, you return to the sky. Take a breath now. Inhale deeply, exhale slowly. Notice how the breath moves through you, unbroken, steady. Even when the mind wanders, the breath remains. This is the truth of who you are, not the scattered thoughts, not the fleeting feelings, but the awareness that notices them all. Reflection is not about judging yourself, it is about seeing clearly. It is about recognizing that you do not need to fight your mind, nor fix yourself, nor prove your worth. You are already whole. Even your struggles are not evidence of brokenness. They are evidence of being human. They are the ripples on the surface of a vast, deep ocean, and the ocean does not lose itself in its ripples. So tonight, release the idea that you must repair yourself. Release the weight of believing you are not enough. Instead, rest in the quiet truth. You are the witness. The storms may come, the waves may rise, but you remain steady and open, like the sky, like the ocean, like the still ground beneath the flowing river. Peace has always been here. Wholeness has always been here. You have only to remember. As you close this chapter, let these words stay with you. You are not broken. You are the one who sees, and in that seeing, you are free. The Buddha's first teaching after his awakening was simple, yet profound. Life contains suffering, not as punishment, not as a flaw in you, but as a universal truth. And what lies at the root of that suffering? Craving. Craving is more than desire. It is the restless hunger that whispers, "This moment is not enough. I must have more. I must hold on. I must change what island." It shows up in countless ways. The craving for pleasure, comfort, success, recognition. The craving for control, for certainty, for permanence. Even the craving for peace itself can become another chain. The thought, "I'll only be happy when I finally stop struggling." But the more you chase, the further peace slips away. Think of thirst. A sip of water refreshes, but craving is like drinking salt water. The more you consume, the thirstier you become. This is why craving leads to suffering, because it never ends. Each desire fulfilled gives birth to another. Each moment grasped begins to slip through your fingers. The Buddha compared it to holding a torch against the wind. The harder you cling, the more it burns you. Consider how craving appears in daily life. You check your phone, hoping for a message, a sign of love or approval. Perhaps it comes, but the relief fades quickly, and the craving begins again. Or you reach a milestone at work, but instead of resting, you already hunger for the next. This cycle does not stop on its own. But here is the deeper truth. Craving is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It reveals the places where you believe you are incomplete. It shows you the illusions you chase, the shadows you mistake for light. The Buddha once said, "From craving arises sorrow. From craving arises fear. One who is free from craving has no sorrow and no fear." These words are both warning and promise. They warn of the cost of clinging, sorrow when you cannot have what you want, fear when you might lose what you hold. But they also promise freedom. Let go of craving, and sorrow and fear loosen their grip. Pause for a moment, take a slow breath. Ask yourself gently, what craving has been whispering in your ear lately? What does it say you must have, must achieve, must control in order to be at peace? Notice it clearly, hold it in the light of awareness, and then imagine opening your hand. Imagine releasing the demand, just for this breath. Peace does not come from fulfilling craving. Peace comes from loosening its hold. This is the heart of the Buddha's path, not to reject desire itself, but to see it clearly, and in seeing, to stop being its prisoner. So tonight, as you rest, may you notice the cravings that drive you. May you see their restlessness, their endless demands, and may you begin to discover the quiet freedom of letting go. For freedom is not found in getting everything you want. Freedom is found in no longer needing everything to be different from what it island. Not all desire is suffering. This is important to understand. The Buddha did not ask us to become hollow, lifeless beings without wants or dreams. What he revealed is that craving, blind, restless, grasping desire is what binds us to suffering. Healthy desire, on the other hand, can guide us toward growth, compassion, and awakening. So what is the difference? Craving is tight, urgent, restless. It says, I cannot be happy until I get this. I cannot be whole until this happens. I must control this outcome, or I am lost. Healthy desire is spacious. It arises from the heart, not from fear. It says, I long to live with kindness. I wish to walk this path with integrity. I hope to learn, to grow, to love, to awaken. Craving grasps. Healthy desire guides. Think of a traveler in the desert. Craving is like chasing a mirage, running endlessly towards something that disappears as soon as you arrive. Healthy desire is like walking toward a real oasis, guided by wisdom and patience. One leaves you exhausted and thirsty, the other sustains you. In your own life, notice the difference. When a desire leaves you anxious, obsessed, or never satisfied, it is craving. When a desire leaves you steady, compassionate, and at peace with each step, it is healthy. The Buddha once said, just as a candle cannot burn without fire, men cannot live without a spiritual life. Healthy desire is that fire, the flame that fuels practice, compassion, and love. Without it, the spirit fades, but when it burns brightly, it warms without consuming. Consider how this appears in daily life. You may crave wealth, clinging to the illusion that money will finally bring peace, but you may also hold a healthy desire to provide for your family, to live with stability, to share generosity with others. One chains you, the other frees you. You may crave recognition, desperate for approval, but you may also carry a healthy desire to express your gifts, to share beauty, to offer kindness in your work. One is rooted in fear, the other in love. You may crave love, demanding it from others as proof of your worth, but you may also carry a healthy desire to open your heart, to give freely, to experience connection. One leaves you hollow, the other leaves you whole. This is the path of discernment, to see clearly what drives you, to ask yourself, does this desire tighten my heart, or does it open it? Does it bind me, or does it set me free? Healthy desire does not mean passivity. It does not mean abandoning dreams or denying joy. It means aligning your longings with truth, with compassion, with wisdom. So tonight, as you breathe, notice the desires within you. Which ones clench? Which ones soften? Which ones make you restless? Which ones bring peace? As you reflect, remember, craving is not your essence. Healthy desire is always available. It is the quiet flame that lights the way forward. Steady, guiding, gentle. Let it lead you. Let it warm you. Let it remind you that not all desire is suffering. When guided by wisdom, desire becomes the path itself. In Buddhist tradition, there is a realm known as the world of the hungry ghosts. Beings born into this realm are depicted with enormous, empty stomachs and thin, spindly necks. Their hunger is endless, yet their throats are too small to ever be satisfied. No matter how much they consume, it is never enough. The craving devours them from the inside out. This image is not just myth, it is a mirror. Every time we chase something endlessly, wealth, power, approval, even pleasure, we step into the world of the hungry ghosts. We eat and eat, consume and consume, but the hunger grows deeper. Think of the person who gains riches, but always wants more, or the one who seeks praise, yet every compliment fades too quickly, or the one who distracts themselves endlessly, but the emptiness always returns. This is the nature of craving. It promises fullness, but delivers only more hunger. The Buddha used this story to remind us that craving can never truly be satisfied. As long as we feed it, it grows. Only when we step out of its cycle do we find peace. But how do we step out? The teaching is not to hate, desire, or punish yourself for wanting. It is to see clearly, to look at the craving directly and say, this cannot fill me. This is salt water, not nourishment. Consider how this might look in your own life. When you crave recognition, pause and notice, does this craving leave you empty or at peace? When you crave possessions, ask, will this bring lasting joy, or will the hunger return tomorrow? By shining awareness on craving, you loosen its grip, you stop being the hungry ghost, and you remember your true nature, spacious, free, already whole. The Buddha once said, not even a rain of gold coins can satisfy craving. Craving is insatiable, the source of suffering. These words are not meant to condemn, but to free. They remind us that fulfillment will never come from endless consumption. It comes from release. Imagine now a different image. Instead of the hungry ghost, picture a monk sitting beneath a tree, bowl in hand. He eats with gratitude, taking only what is offered, finding peace not in excess, but in enough. His stomach is not empty, because his heart is full. This is the alternative to craving contentment, the quiet joy of enough, the peace of recognizing that you do not need to feed every desire. So tonight, as you breathe, reflect on the cravings that haunt you, see them clearly, as the hungry ghosts they are, and then, gently, let them pass. Return to the truth of enough. Return to the fullness that is already within you. You are not a hungry ghost. You are not bound to endless hunger. You are awareness, steady and whole, already complete. And in remembering this, you step out of the cycle of craving and into peace. If craving is the root of suffering, then letting go is the root of freedom. At first, letting go sounds like loss. The mind fears that if we release our grip, everything will fall apart. But in truth, letting go is not about losing. It is about gaining freedom. The Buddha taught, let go of the past, let go of the future, let go of the present, and cross over to the farther shore of existence. With mind wholly liberated, you shall come no more to birth and death. These words may sound vast, even distant, but their essence is simple. Freedom is found in release. Think of your hand holding a rope. The harder you pull, the more your palms burn. The struggle consumes you, but the moment you open your hand, the pain ends. This is the gift of letting go. When you cling to expectations, the smallest setback feels unbearable. When you cling to possessions, their loss becomes devastation. When you cling to identities, change feels like death. But when you release the grip, life becomes lighter, gentler, freer. Letting go is not indifference. It is not apathy. It is the wisdom to see what can be carried and what must be set down. It is the courage to trust that you do not need to control everything in order to be at peace. Imagine a bird perched on a branch. The branch may break, the wind may shake, yet the bird does not fear. Why? Because it trusts its wings. In the same way, letting go does not mean trusting the world to always be stable. It means trusting your own heart to remain steady no matter what shifts around you. In daily life, letting go might look like releasing the grudge that poisons your heart. It might mean forgiving yourself for mistakes you cannot undo. It might mean surrendering the need to be right, to win, to prove. Each release opens space for peace. Take a slow inhale now. Imagine gathering all the things you cling to: fears, regrets, demands, desires. Hold them gently in your awareness. Then, with the exhale, imagine placing them down, not throwing them away, not rejecting them, but setting them gently aside. Feel the space that opens in your body. The shoulders relax, the chest softens, the mind grows quiet. This is freedom through letting go. The world does not collapse when you release your grip. Instead, it reveals itself as it truly is alive, flowing, ever-changing, and you, no longer weighed down, discover that you can flow with it. The Buddha compared this freedom to crossing a river on a raft. Once you reach the far shore, you do not continue to carry the raft on your back. You leave it behind. What carried you this far need not be clung to forever. So tonight, as you rest, reflect on what you are ready to set down. What rope burns your hand? What raft have you been carrying too long? What weight are you ready to release? Freedom is not found in holding tighter. Freedom is found in opening the hand, in releasing, in trusting. This is the path of peace. This is the gift of letting go. There is a moment, small but powerful, when craving loosens its grip and you realize, this is enough. Not someday, not after one more achievement, not when every condition is perfect, but here, now, in this simple breath, this simple life. The Buddha once said, "Contentment is the greatest wealth." These words cut through the endless hunger of craving and point us back to the richness already within reach. Think of sitting down to a meal when you are hungry. The first bite brings comfort, the second brings nourishment. But after a certain point, eating more does not bring greater joy. In fact, it begins to harm you. True satisfaction comes not from endless consumption, but from recognizing when you have had enough. The same is true in life. When you learn to rest in contentment, you discover a wealth untouched by loss, a peace unshaken by change. The quiet joy of enough is not dramatic. It does not shout or demand attention. It arrives gently, like sunlight through leaves, like cool water on the tongue. It is found in the ordinary, the laughter of a friend, the warmth of tea in your hands, the sound of rain against the window. When you pause long enough to notice, you realize this moment is already full. Contentment does not mean passivity. It does not mean giving up on growth or refusing to dream. It means releasing the endless hunger for more and learning to rest in the beauty of what island. Ask yourself now, where in your life can you practice the joy of enough? Perhaps it is in appreciating the work you have already done, instead of measuring it against what remains. Perhaps it is in cherishing the love already present, instead of longing for it to look different. Perhaps it is in resting tonight, knowing that this breath, this stillness, is already a gift. The joy of enough is quiet, but it is powerful. It frees you from the cycle of craving. It allows you to live without fear of loss, because you no longer depend on the endless more to be whole. Imagine carrying a cup of water. When it is full, you can drink deeply and feel satisfied. If you keep pouring, it only spills. The secret is not in endless filling, but in recognizing fullness. This is the wisdom of contentment, to see the fullness already here, to rest in it, to let it be enough. Take a slow breath now. Inhale, noticing the fullness of this moment. Exhale, releasing the demand for more. Rest in the truth that you are already whole, already rich, already free. The Buddha's words echo once more. Contentment is the greatest wealth. Tonight, let those words be your refuge. May you discover the quiet joy of enough. May you rest in the wealth of this breath, this life, this peace. If there is one truth that life never stops teaching, it is this: everything changes. The seasons shift, the body ages, joy comes, then sorrow, then joy again. Nothing stays fixed, nothing lasts forever. At first, impermanence can feel like a threat. We want to hold on to what is beautiful, to protect what we love, to keep life steady and safe. But the tighter we cling, the more pain we feel when change arrives, as it always does. The Buddha taught, all conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. These words are not meant to sadden us, but to free us. Impermanence is not the enemy. It is the teacher. Think of a flower. Its beauty lies not only in its color or fragrance, but in its fleeting nature. We cherish it because we know it will not last. If it bloomed forever, would we see it the same way? Or consider the sky at sunset. The colors shift moment by moment, gold to orange, orange to purple, purple to deep blue. If you try to hold on to one color, you miss the unfolding of the whole. Its beauty is in its change. Impermanence shows us that clinging is futile, but it also shows us that loss makes way for renewal. The falling leaf nourishes the soil. The ending of one chapter opens space for the next. The passing of sorrow makes way for joy. Even pain, when seen through impermanence, loses its sharpness. The storm does not last forever. The wound does not bleed forever. The night does not remain without dawn. When we accept impermanence, we step out of resistance and into flow. We stop fighting life and instead begin to move with it. Take a breath now. Notice the inhale rise. Notice the exhale fall. Each breath is impermanence. Each breath teaches us the same truth. To live, we must let go. Impermanence is also what makes compassion possible. Knowing that we too will age, grow ill, and die, we understand the struggles of others more deeply. Knowing that joy is fleeting, we learn to cherish it. Knowing that sorrow is passing, we learn to endure it with patience. The practice is not to escape impermanence, but to embrace it as the very rhythm of life. Tonight, as you rest, reflect on the changes that shape your life. Some you may welcome, some you may resist, but all are part of the same truth. Nothing stays the same. And yet, this need not bring despair, for in the flow of impermanence lies beauty, wisdom, and freedom. The flower blooms and fades, the sun rises and sets, the breath comes and goes, and you, the witness, remain steady, learning from it all. Impermanence is not here to harm you. It is here to teach you how to live fully, love deeply, and let go gently. Great, here's the next section. Chapter 5.2, The Parable of the Broken Cup, 600 words, with pauses. There is a well-known story in Zen about a teacher who held up a simple teacup. He said to his students, "This cup is already broken." At first, the students were puzzled. The cup was whole, smooth, uncracked. Why call it broken? The teacher explained, "To me, this cup is already broken, because one day it will fall, or be dropped, or simply wear away. Knowing this, I can truly appreciate it now. I can enjoy its shape, its color, the coolness of water it holds. And when it does break, I will not despair, for I saw its fragility from the beginning." This story is not about pessimism, it is about freedom. When we see everything as already broken, we stop clinging, we stop pretending things will last forever. Instead, we cherish them fully in the moment, knowing their impermanence is part of their beauty. Think of the relationships in your life. None of them can last forever in their current form. Loved ones age, change, and eventually pass. If we cling to the illusion of permanence, their changes fill us with grief. But if we see them as already broken, not in despair but in truth, we can love them more deeply while they are here. The same is true for objects. Every belonging we own will one day wear out, be lost, or pass to someone else. If we cling to them, their loss wounds us. But if we see them as already broken, we can enjoy them freely without fear. The same is even true for ourselves. Our bodies, our identities, our achievements, all are impermanent. To see them as already broken is to release the grip of fear. It is to live in gratitude for the breath, the body, the life we hold for now. The Buddha once said, "All conditioned things are of a nature to decay. Strive on untiringly." These words remind us that impermanence is not a flaw. It is the way of all things. Knowing this, we do not despair. We live more fully. Take a moment now to imagine holding a cup in your hands. Feel its smooth surface, the weight of it, the coolness against your skin. See it clearly, and then whisper inwardly, "This cup is already broken." Professed. Notice what shifts. The cup becomes more precious, not less. Its value lies not in lasting forever, but in being here now. This practice can extend to everything, to your morning coffee, to your conversations with loved ones, to the beauty of a sunset, to the sound of laughter. Each moment is already broken, already passing, and because of that, it shines more brightly. So tonight, as you rest, let this parable guide you. See the world as already broken, not in despair, but in gratitude. Cherish what is here, knowing it will pass. Hold lightly, love deeply, and when change comes, release gently. For this is the freedom of impermanence. Nothing lasts, and so everything matters. When we speak of impermanence, grief is never far behind. For what is grief but love, with nowhere to go? When someone we cherish is gone, the truth of impermanence feels sharp, almost unbearable. The mind cries out, why did it have to change? Why couldn't it last? The Buddha did not turn away from this truth. He acknowledged it fully. Everything we love will pass. Every bond will shift. Every life will end. And yes, grief will follow. But here lies the hidden gift. Grief is not a sign of weakness. It is the mirror of love. We grieve deeply because we loved deeply. And impermanence, though painful, gives love its intensity. If everything lasted forever, would we cherish it as much? Think of a blooming cherry blossom. Part of its beauty is its brevity. Because we know it will soon fall, we notice it more, treasure it more, stand beneath its branches with awe. The same is true for our loved ones. Their presence is fleeting, and that fleetingness makes their laughter, their voice, their embrace all the more precious. The Buddha once said, in the end, only 3 things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. Grief teaches us all 3. It shows us how deeply we loved. It invites us to live gently in the face of loss, and it calls us to let go, not to erase love, but to honor it. When you feel grief, do not push it away. Let it move through you like a river. Tears, memories, aching silences, all are part of the flow. To resist grief is to resist love itself. But also remember, grief is not forever. Like all things, it too is impermanent. The pain softens, the sharp edges round out, the love remains, but the suffering eases. Think of a candle burning low. At first, the flame is bright, fierce, consuming. Over time, it becomes softer, steadier, a quiet glow that lingers in the dark. Grief transforms in the same way. It does not vanish, but it becomes gentler, a companion rather than a wound. This is the gift of impermanence. It does not erase sorrow, but it assures us that sorrow will not last forever. It teaches us to lean into love while it is here, and to release gently when it changes form. So tonight, if you carry grief, let it be honored. Let it remind you of the depth of your love, and let it remind you too that even this pain will shift, soften, and one day make space for peace again. Take a breath now. Inhale love. Exhale release. Inhale gratitude for what was. Exhale trust in what is to come. Grief is the shadow of love, and impermanence is the teacher that holds them both. Together, they show us the fullness of the human heart. You are not broken for grieving. You are alive. You are loving. You are human. And in time, grief itself becomes the teacher that returns you to peace. Impermanence, when misunderstood, can seem heavy, but when seen clearly, it is a call to live more deeply. The truth that nothing lasts forever does not have to fill us with fear. It can fill us with presence. It can remind us that this moment, fleeting as it is, matters more than we realize. The Buddha once said, "The trouble is, you think you have time." These words are not meant to frighten us, but to awaken us. We postpone joy, connection, gratitude, always assuming there will be another chance. But impermanence whispers, now is the chance. Think of how often the mind wanders to regrets of the past, to fears of the future. In doing so, we miss the life that is here, in the breath moving through us, in the people sitting beside us, in the beauty unfolding around us. To live fully in the moment is not to ignore the past or abandon the future. It is to give your whole attention to what is before you now, to eat without distraction, to listen without rehearsing your reply, to walk without rushing toward the destination. Each small act becomes sacred when met with presence. Imagine drinking a cup of tea. If your mind is elsewhere, you barely taste it, but if you bring your awareness fully to it, you notice the warmth of the cup, the fragrance of the steam, the dance of flavor on the tongue. A simple sip becomes a meditation. Or imagine sitting with a loved one. If your attention is divided, their words blur into background noise. But if you listen with presence, if you see their face, their gestures, their eyes, you discover depth in the moment that cannot be replicated. This is the gift of impermanence. Because nothing lasts, everything becomes precious. Living fully does not mean chasing constant excitement. It means finding fullness in the ordinary. It means noticing the sound of rain, the feeling of sunlight on your skin, the rhythm of your own breath. Take a slow inhale now. Feel the coolness of the air. Take a gentle exhale. Notice the way the body softens. This is life. This is the moment, and it is enough. When you live fully in the moment, even challenges shift. Instead of being consumed by fear of what might come, you meet what is here with steadiness. Instead of being lost in regret, you find the lesson in the present. The mind will always try to wander, but presence is a practice. Each time you return, you strengthen the ability to live deeply. Each return is a victory. So tonight, as you rest, let the truth of impermanence guide you into presence. Do not wait for tomorrow to live fully. Do not postpone peace for a future that may never arrive. This breath is the gift. This moment is the treasure. This life, fleeting and fragile, is already enough. Living fully in the moment is not about grasping it, but about inhabiting it. Not about clinging, but about noticing. Not about demanding, but about receiving. And in that receiving, you will find what you were seeking all along: peace, joy, and the quiet wonder of simply being alive. Impermanence can feel like loss, but when seen clearly, it is liberation. For if everything changes, then nothing can bind you forever. No sorrow will last without end. No wound will remain unhealed. No storm will remain unbroken. The Buddha taught, "All things that arise must also pass away." These words, simple as they are, contain the seed of freedom. If joy passes, so too does pain. If beginnings end, so too do endings open into beginnings. Impermanence is the gentle hand that reminds us, do not cling and do not despair. Trust that life is a river, always moving, always reshaping itself. Think of the ocean's tide. The waves roll in, then roll back. If you try to stop the water, you suffer. If you learn to move with it, you discover peace in the rhythm. In the same way, impermanence frees us from attachment. We realize that possessions, relationships, even identities are temporary, and rather than fearing this truth, we can cherish each more deeply, love more openly, and let go more gently when the time comes. Impermanence also frees us from despair. When pain feels unbearable, impermanence whispers, "This too will pass." And though the words do not erase the pain, they soften it. They remind us that nothing is fixed, not even suffering. Take a slow breath now. Inhale change. Exhale, release. Notice how each breath arises and dissolves on its own. You cannot hold the inhale. You cannot freeze the exhale. Life moves, and so do you. When you embrace impermanence, you no longer need to fight life. You no longer waste energy resisting what cannot be stopped. Instead, you live fully, love deeply, and let go freely. Imagine holding a handful of sand. If you clench your fist, it slips away faster. If you open your hand, it rests there gently, as long as it will. Impermanence teaches us to hold life like sand, lightly, lovingly, without fear. This is why impermanence is liberation. It shows us that nothing can be possessed, yet everything can be cherished. It shows us that suffering is temporary, that joy is precious, and that peace lies not in grasping, but in flowing. So tonight, as you rest, let impermanence be your comfort. Let it remind you that you are not stuck, that life is always moving, that change itself is the path to freedom. You do not need to fear what passes. You only need to see it clearly, honor it fully, and let it go when the time comes. For in the end, impermanence does not take away, meaning it gives it, because nothing lasts forever, everything matters now. Rest in that truth, rest in that freedom, rest in the liberation of impermanence. Life brings suffering. This is the first truth the Buddha shared after his awakening. But he did not stop at suffering. He also revealed the path to peace, and at the heart of that path is compassion. Compassion is more than pity. It is more than kindness alone. It is the deep recognition that suffering is universal, that every being, in some way, longs to be free from pain. When we see this clearly, the walls of separation begin to crumble. The stranger is no longer other. The enemy is no longer only their actions. Each one is a being, caught in the same web of craving, impermanence, and loss. The Buddha said, as a mother would protect her only child with her life, even so, let one cultivate a boundless heart toward all beings. These words are not a suggestion for the rare saint. They are a call to all of us. To live with compassion is to live with an open heart, even in a world of suffering. Compassion begins with seeing. When we pause long enough to notice another's pain, something in us softens. Instead of judgment, there is understanding. Instead of indifference, there is care. But compassion also begins with ourselves. Too often, we treat our own suffering with harshness. We scold ourselves for being weak, for not being over it, for needing time to heal. Yet if compassion means recognizing suffering, then self-compassion means recognizing our own pain with the same gentle gaze we would offer to a friend. Take a moment now. Place a hand on your chest if you wish. Feel the steady beat beneath your palm. Whisper inwardly, "This being is worthy of compassion too." Notice the shift. Notice how the heart softens when you turn compassion inward. From there, compassion naturally expands outward, to family, to friends, to strangers on the street, even to those who hurt us. Compassion does not excuse harm. It does not condone cruelty, but it sees beyond the action to the suffering beneath it, and in that seeing, the cycle of hatred begins to break. Imagine the world if every harsh word were met not with retaliation, but with compassion. Imagine if every conflict were softened by the awareness that the one before us is suffering too. The ripples would be endless. And this is not fantasy. It begins with each small act. A gentle tone when irritation rises, a moment of patience when anger flares, a silent wish for another's peace, even when you cannot change their path. This is compassion in practice, not grand gestures, but daily choices, not perfection, but presence. So tonight, as you rest, let compassion rise in you. Begin with yourself. Offer kindness to your own heart. Then, let it expand outward, breath by breath. Inhale compassion for yourself. Exhale compassion for the world. Inhale gentleness. Exhale peace. For suffering may be universal, but so too is the capacity for compassion. And in compassion, we discover a freedom that transforms not only our own hearts, but the world around us. It is often said that we cannot pour from an empty cup. The same is true for compassion. If we do not learn to turn kindness inward, our attempts to extend it outward will eventually run dry. The Buddha once taught, "You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." These words are not indulgence, they are necessity. For how can we truly see the suffering of others if we remain blind and harsh toward our own? Self-compassion is not selfishness. It is not about excusing mistakes or refusing responsibility. It is about recognizing our humanity with gentleness, understanding that imperfection is part of life, not proof of failure. Think of how you treat a dear friend in pain. You would not scold them for struggling. You would not call them weak for needing rest. You would sit beside them, listen, offer comfort. Self-compassion is learning to treat yourself with the same tenderness. But this is often the hardest practice of all. We are quick to forgive others, yet slow to forgive ourselves. We carry shame like heavy stones, believing harshness will make us stronger. In truth, harshness only deepens the wound. Take a moment now. Place a hand gently over your heart. Whisper inwardly, "I am allowed to be human. I am allowed to be imperfect. I am allowed to heal." Notice what happens when you give yourself this permission. The body softens, the breath deepens, the mind loosens its grip. This is the power of self-compassion. Self-compassion does not mean avoiding growth. It means creating the conditions for growth. Just as a plant thrives not in harsh soil but in fertile ground, so too does the heart thrive in the soil of kindness. Consider the times you have spoken to yourself with harshness. "I should have done better. I'll never change. I'm not enough." Now, imagine replacing those words with, "I did my best. I am learning. I am worthy of love." The shift is not small, it is life-changing. And from this softened place, compassion flows outward naturally. When you know how difficult it is to be gentle with yourself, you understand how much courage it takes for others to do the same. When you forgive your own mistakes, you learn to forgive the mistakes of others. This is why self-compassion comes first. It is the root from which all other compassion grows. Without it, our kindness toward others is often laced with resentment or exhaustion. With it, our kindness becomes genuine, flowing without effort. So tonight, as you rest, turn compassion inward first. Offer your heart the gentleness it longs for. Forgive the mistakes of today. Release the weight of self-judgment. Whisper inwardly, "I deserve love. I deserve peace. I deserve compassion. I deserve compassion." And as you breathe into this truth, let the circle widen, from self to family, from family to strangers, from strangers to all beings. Compassion, radiating outward, rooted in the soil of your own self-kindness. For only when you hold yourself with compassion can you hold the world with the same tenderness. Compassion begins close to home, but it is meant to expand without limit. In Buddhism, this expansion is called boundless loving kindness, compassion that radiates in all directions, touching every being without distinction. We usually find it easiest to feel compassion for those we love. Friends and family stir tenderness in us. We want them to be happy, to be safe, to be free from suffering. This is natural and beautiful. But if compassion stops here, it remains incomplete. The Buddha taught, just as a mother protects her only child with her life, even so should one cultivate a boundless heart toward all beings. This means widening the circle first to strangers, then even to those we see as enemies. Start with friends. Notice the warmth you feel when you think of someone dear to you. That warmth is compassion in its simplest form. Hold it for a moment. Then imagine it radiating outward. Now consider a stranger, someone you passed on the street today, someone you will never meet again. They too carry joys and sorrows. They too wish to be free from pain. Compassion here is not emotional intensity, but recognition. This being is like me. And then, hardest of all, consider those who have hurt you, an enemy, a rival, someone whose words or actions wounded you. Compassion here is not agreement with their behavior. It is not forgetting the harm. It is the deeper recognition that they, too, suffer, and that suffering often drives harmful action. To hold compassion for an enemy does not mean inviting harm. It does not mean erasing boundaries. It means refusing to let hatred harden your heart. It means seeing their pain without adding your own. Imagine anger as a fire. When you meet anger with anger, you only add fuel. When you meet it with compassion, the fire has less to burn. Take a breath now. Inhale compassion for yourself. Exhale compassion for a friend. Inhale compassion for a stranger. Exhale compassion for an enemy. This is the widening of the heart, the practice of boundless compassion. It will not always feel easy. At times, it may feel impossible. But compassion is not a feeling you must force. It is a perspective you can return to, again and again. Each time you soften your heart, each time you see the humanity in another, compassion grows stronger. And in this practice, you free yourself, for hatred chains you to the one you resent. Compassion releases you. It allows you to walk lightly, without carrying the weight of anger. So tonight, let your heart expand. Begin with yourself, then a friend, then a stranger, then even an enemy. Whisper inwardly, may they be safe, may they be free, may they know peace. This is compassion in its highest form, a love that knows no boundary, no condition, no end. Compassion is not only a feeling we hold in meditation, it is a way of living, expressed in the small choices we make each day. Grand gestures are rare. Most of the time, compassion reveals itself in simple acts, in tone of voice, in patience offered, in kindness shown when no one is watching. The Buddha once said, "If you light a lamp for someone else, it will also brighten your own path." These words remind us that every act of compassion is twofold. It eases the suffering of another and deepens peace within ourselves. Consider the moments when irritation rises. A stranger cuts in line. A coworker speaks harshly. The impulse may be to respond with sharpness, but compassion offers another path, to pause, to see their humanity, to respond gently. This does not mean allowing harm. It means refusing to add more suffering to the world. Or think of the times you encounter small opportunities to help, holding a door, offering a smile, listening without rushing to reply. These are not small in their effect. Each act is a seed, and compassion is the soil in which it grows. Even in silence, compassion acts, a quiet wish for another's well-being, a prayer whispered for someone you may never meet. The mind itself can be a vessel of kindness. And then there are the acts of compassion directed inward, choosing rest instead of exhaustion, speaking gently to yourself after a mistake, allowing yourself to heal without hurry. These too are small daily choices that ripple outward, shaping how you move through the world. Take a moment now to reflect. What is one small act of compassion you offered today? Perhaps you listened to a friend. Perhaps you forgave yourself. Perhaps you simply breathed deeply when you could have rushed. Notice how even small moments soften the heart. Notice how they bring lightness. This is compassion in action. And ask yourself, what small act of compassion can you offer tomorrow? Not as a burden, not as a performance, but as a gift. Perhaps a word of encouragement, perhaps patience in a moment of stress, perhaps silence where judgment would have spoken. When we practice compassion in daily life, we discover it is not something rare or difficult. It is always available, waiting in the small spaces of choice. Like drops of water filling a jar, each act accumulates. Over time, they reshape the heart. Over time, they reshape the world. So tonight, as you rest, let compassion settle into your being. Let it shape how you speak, how you listen, how you live. Let it remind you that no act is too small, no kindness too quiet. Compassion is not only a practice, it is a way of being, and it begins with the choices you make in the moments that seem ordinary. For in truth, there are no ordinary moments. Each is an opportunity to bring light. Each is a chance to ease suffering. Each is a chance to embody compassion. Compassion begins as a spark, but with practice, it becomes a boundless flame, one that lights the way not only for yourself, but for all beings. The Buddha spoke often of this boundless heart. He taught, just as a mother would protect with her life her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings. These words are not poetry alone. They are instruction, an invitation to expand the heart beyond all limits. At first, compassion may feel selective. It flows easily toward those we love, and less easily toward those who frustrate or oppose us. But the boundless heart is not selective. It does not measure who is worthy. It does not withhold based on how we are treated. It radiates equally, like the sun shining on all without preference. This is not to say it is simple. The heart resists, the mind objects, but with each practice, with each return to awareness, compassion grows, and in time, it begins to overflow. Boundless compassion does not mean weakness. It does not mean allowing harm or erasing boundaries. Rather, it means that even as you protect yourself, even as you stand firm, you do not harden into hatred. You do not let bitterness take root. Think of the ocean. Waves crash, storms rage, but its depths remain vast and open. The boundless heart is like this steady beneath the surface, wide enough to hold joy and sorrow alike. Take a breath now. Inhale deeply. Exhale slowly. With each inhale, imagine drawing compassion into your heart. With each exhale, imagine it expanding outward to those you love, to those you know, to strangers, to all beings everywhere. Notice how the heart feels when it expands. Notice the lightness, the openness, the freedom. This is the nature of compassion. The more you give, the more you discover within. And in this expansion, suffering begins to loosen, for hatred cannot coexist with a boundless heart. Fear cannot dominate when compassion flows freely. Even sorrow softens when it is held within love this wide. So tonight, as you rest, reflect on this truth. Your heart is capable of more than you imagine. Its boundaries are not fixed. Its love is not finite. It can expand endlessly if you only let it. The Buddha's invitation is clear. Live with a heart like the sun, like the ocean, like the sky, boundless, steady, open. May your compassion grow until it knows no limit. May it hold you in tenderness. May it reach outward to ease the suffering of the world. This is the path of the boundless heart. This is the freedom of compassion. Emptiness is one of the most misunderstood teachings of Buddhism. To many, The word sounds bleak, as though it points to a void, a nothingness, a hollow life without meaning. But in truth, emptiness is not despair, it is freedom. The Buddha taught, form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. These words may sound like a riddle, but they reveal a deep truth. Everything we cling to as solid, permanent, and independent is, in reality, fluid, changing, and interconnected. Think of a wave rising on the ocean. We may call it a wave, point to it, even give it a name, but is it truly separate from the ocean? Without the ocean, there is no wave. Its existence depends entirely on the water beneath it. In the same way, what we call self is not fixed or separate. It is a collection of conditions, body, breath, thoughts, feelings, memories, all arising and passing moment by moment. When those conditions shift, so too does the self. To see this clearly is to understand emptiness. Emptiness does not mean nothing exists. It means nothing exists independently. Everything arises in dependence on everything else. Just as a flower depends on sunlight, water, and soil, so too do we depend on countless causes and conditions. This realization can feel unsettling at first. If the self is not fixed, who are we? But in time, the teaching of emptiness becomes liberation. For if the self is not fixed, then we are not trapped. We are not bound to our mistakes, our past, or our fears. We are free to change, to grow, to awaken. Think of identity like a rainbow, beautiful, vivid, inspiring, but only possible through the meeting of sunlight and rain. You cannot hold it, cannot pin it down, yet its beauty is undeniable. So too with the self. When we cling to the illusion of a solid self, suffering grows. We defend ourselves endlessly, compare ourselves constantly, fear loss and death, as though something permanent is being taken away. But when we see the emptiness of self, these fears loosen. Take a breath now. Notice how even in this single inhale and exhale, you are not the same as you were a moment ago. Cells shift, thoughts change, awareness flows. You are not a fixed thing. You are a living process, unfolding. The Buddha once said, all phenomena are empty. They have no enduring self. These words are not meant to erase you, but to free you from clinging to what you are not. Emptiness is the doorway to compassion. For if there is no separate self, then the boundary between I and you softens. Your suffering is not apart from mine. Your joy is not apart from mine. We are waves on the same ocean, colors in the same rainbow, sparks in the same fire. This is the promise of emptiness, not despair, but connection, not nothingness, but fullness, not loss, but liberation. So tonight, as you rest, let emptiness be your comfort. You are not fixed. You are not trapped. You are not alone. You are part of the great, interwoven whole, always changing, always free. Rest in that freedom. Rest in that truth. Rest in the vastness of emptiness, which is, in truth, fullness. One of the most famous teachings on emptiness comes from a simple story, the story of the chariot. A monk once asked, "What is the self?" His teacher replied with a question of his own, "What is a chariot?" The student pointed to the wooden frame, the wheels, the axle, the reins, but the teacher asked again, "Is the chariot in the wheels, in the axle, in the reins, or in the frame?" The student realized, the chariot is not in any one part. It is only a name we give to the collection of parts when they come together. In the same way, The self is not found in the body alone, or in thoughts, or in memories, or in emotions. It is only a convenient label we give to the collection of ever-changing parts. When those parts separate, where is the self? This teaching is not meant to confuse. It is meant to free. For when we cling to the idea of a solid, permanent self, we become trapped endlessly, defending it, comparing it, fearing its loss. But when we see that the self is like a chariot, made only of parts, we loosen our grip. Think of your own body. Cells die and renew constantly. Within a few years, nearly every cell has changed, yet we still say, "This is me." But where is the fixed self in this? The body is a river, flowing, never the same. Think of the mind. Thoughts arise and pass endlessly, emotions shift, memories blur, desires change, yet we cling to them as though they form something solid, unchanging. But can you point to one thought, one memory, one emotion that has never shifted? The Buddha once said, "Just as a man would leave behind an old house, so too should one leave behind the illusion of self." These words are not a command to erase yourself. They are an invitation to stop mistaking the parts for the whole, the temporary for the eternal. Consider the freedom this brings. If the self is not fixed, then you are not bound by your past. You are not chained to mistakes. You are not imprisoned by old stories. Each moment is new, alive, full of possibility. Think of someone who once defined themselves by anger. If the self were fixed, they would always be angry. But through practice, anger softens, compassion grows, the parts shift, and so does the self. This is the freedom of emptiness. Take a breath now. Inhale, noticing the body, the mind, the awareness. Exhale, noticing how each changes even in this single moment. You are not a solid thing. You are a flowing process, like the chariot, like the river, like the wind. Emptiness does not mean you vanish. It means you are free to change, free to grow, free to live without the heavy armor of a fixed identity. So tonight, as you rest, let the story of the chariot guide you. Do not cling to the illusion of a permanent self. Instead, rest in the truth of change. Rest in the freedom of emptiness. Rest in the vast, flowing mystery of what you truly are. For just as the chariot is only a name for its parts, so too is the self. And in seeing this, you discover not despair, but release. Emptiness is not a void, it is connection. When we see that nothing exists independently, we begin to understand the teaching of interbeing, that everything exists in relation to everything else. The Zen teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, often spoke of this truth. Holding up a sheet of paper, he would ask, "Do you see the cloud?" His students looked puzzled. Then he explained, "Without the cloud, there is no rain. Without rain, there are no trees. Without trees, there is no paper. The cloud is in the paper. The sunshine is in the paper. The logger, the mill, the teacher, the student, all are in the paper." In this way, nothing exists alone. Everything inter-island. Consider a flower. At first glance, it seems separate, but look closer. The rain, the soil, the sun, the air, the hands that cared for it all, are present in the flower. Without them, it could not be. The flower is empty of a separate self, but full of the whole universe. And so are you. Your breath carries the trees within it, for they give oxygen. Your body carries the earth within it, for every cell comes from food grown in soil and rain. Your mind carries the voices of teachers, family, friends. Every word you know was given by others. To see this is to dissolve the illusion of separation, to recognize that self and other are not two. We are. This truth can soften even the hardest of hearts, for when you see that your joy depends on others, gratitude grows. When you see that others' suffering touches your own, compassion grows. The Buddha once said, "He who sees dependent arising sees the Dharma. He who sees the Dharma sees dependent arising." Dependent arising means that all things come into being through conditions. Nothing stands alone. Nothing is separate. Think of the ocean. Each wave rises and falls, appearing unique, but all are made of the same water. Interbeing is this recognition. We are not separate waves, but expressions of the same vast ocean. Take a moment now to breathe. Inhale and feel the trees exhaling into you. Exhale and know the trees breathe you in. Even here, in the simple rhythm of breath, you touch the truth of interbeing. This practice can change how you move through life. Suddenly, gratitude fills ordinary moments for the rain that watered your food, the hands that prepared it, the countless beings that made this moment possible. And with gratitude comes responsibility. If everything is connected, then every choice matters. To live with awareness of interbeing is to live gently, to consume with care, to speak with kindness, to act with compassion. For in harming another, we harm ourselves. In helping another, we help ourselves. So tonight, let the truth of interbeing rest in your heart. You are not alone. You are never separate. You carry the whole universe within you, and the whole universe carries you. Emptiness is not nothingness. It is fullness. It is connection. It is the truth that nothing exists alone, and everything inter-island. The illusion of a separate self gives rise to the ego, that inner voice that insists, "I am apart, I am special, I must protect myself above all else." Ego is not evil, it is simply mistaken. It clings to the belief in separateness, and from this belief arise comparison, pride, jealousy, and fear. When ego rules, life becomes a battlefield of me versus you. Every success of another feels like a threat. Every slight feels like a wound. Every change feels like a loss of identity. But when we see the truth of emptiness and interbeing, the grip of ego loosens. We begin to understand that separation is an illusion. The Buddha once said, "All phenomena are without self." To see this is to free ourselves from the endless struggles of ego. Think of a drop of water falling into the ocean. Before it merges, it may imagine itself separate, small, vulnerable, alone. But once it touches the sea, it realizes it has always been part of something vast. The ego is like that drop, clinging to the illusion of separateness. Freedom comes when we see we are already the ocean. This freedom is not the destruction of individuality. You still speak, act, live your unique life. But the walls soften. The rigid sense of I and mine dissolves. What remains is openness, connection, humility, and peace. Imagine carrying a heavy shield. It is meant to protect you, but it also weighs you down, separating you from the world. Ego is like that shield. When you lay it down, you discover freedom. You discover lightness. You discover intimacy with life. In daily life, freedom from ego might look like celebrating the success of others without jealousy. It might mean admitting mistakes without fear. It might mean listening without needing to dominate the conversation. Each small act loosens the hold of separateness. It also changes how you see suffering. Instead of asking, "Why me?" you begin to see that pain is part of the human condition, not a personal punishment. Instead of resenting others, you begin to recognize their struggles as reflections of your own. Take a breath now. Inhale, feeling the body expand. Exhale, feeling the body soften. Notice that this breath is not yours alone. It connects you to the trees, the air, the world. Even here, ego dissolves into being. Freedom from ego is not a single event, it is a practice. Each time you soften comparison, you step into freedom. Each time you choose compassion over pride, you step into freedom. Each time you see through separation, you step into freedom. And what is this freedom? It is peace. It is the release of constant struggle. It is the joy of belonging to something greater than me. The find forward, Shifao and Komesh. So tonight, let the walls of ego soften. Let the illusion of separation dissolve. Rest not as a drop, isolated and afraid, but as the ocean itself, vast, connected, free. This is the gift of emptiness. This is the freedom beyond ego. Emptiness is not a void to be feared, but a vastness to be embraced. When we first hear the word, it may sound cold or hollow, yet the teaching of emptiness is not about nothingness. It is about freedom, connection, and possibility. The Buddha said, "Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form." These words remind us that emptiness is not separate from the world around us. It is not beyond our lives. It is here, within everything we see, hear, and touch. Look at a tree. At first, you see its trunk, branches, and leaves. But when you look deeper, you see sunlight, rain, soil, and air. The tree is empty of a separate self, and because of that, it is full of the whole universe. Look at yourself. At first, you see a body, a name, a story. But when you look deeper, you see countless conditions, parents, ancestors, teachers, friends, strangers, the earth that nourished you, the sky that shelters you. You, too, are empty of a separate self, and because of that, you are full of life itself. This vastness of emptiness is not a loss, it is an expansion. When you are no longer bound by the illusion of a fixed self, you realize you are more than you imagined. You are the river, the cloud, the sunlight, the earth. You are not limited to one small identity. You are part of the great unfolding whole. Think of the sky. Clouds drift in, clouds drift out, yet the sky remains open, vast, unharmed. Emptiness is like this, the vastness in which thoughts, feelings, and forms come and go, without ever confining who you truly are. Take a moment now. Breathe in slowly. Feel the body rise. Breathe out gently. Feel the body fall. Notice how even the breath teaches emptiness. It cannot be held, cannot be owned, only experienced as it flows. In emptiness, fear loosens. For what is there to cling to? In emptiness, compassion grows. For where do I and you truly divide? In emptiness, freedom shines. For if nothing is fixed, everything is possible. This vastness is not abstract. It is alive in every step you take, every sip of water, every act of kindness. It is the field in which all things arise and pass away. So tonight, as you rest, let emptiness be your comfort, not your fear. Let it remind you that you are not small, not trapped, not alone. You are vast, connected, limitless. Rest as the sky, rest as the ocean, rest as the great, boundless mystery of emptiness. For in emptiness, You are not erased. You are complete. Mindfulness is often described as the heart of Buddhist practice. It is the art of being fully present, awake to this moment, without clinging to the past or racing toward the future. The Buddha once said, "Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment." These words carry profound wisdom, for in truth, the only place we can ever live is here. Yet the mind resists. It wanders endlessly into memories, regrets, plans, and fears. We replay conversations long ended. We imagine scenarios that may never come. And in this wandering, we miss the life unfolding before us. Mindfulness is the gentle practice of returning. Over and over, with patience and kindness, we guide the mind back to what is here, the breath, the body, the sensations of this moment. Think of the breath as an anchor, always present, always moving. When the mind drifts, you can return to the inhale and exhale, grounding yourself in the simple rhythm of life. Or, think of walking mindfully. Each step becomes a meditation. The foot touches the earth, the body shifts, the air moves across the skin. In this awareness, even walking becomes sacred. Mindfulness does not mean emptying the mind of thought. It means noticing thought as it arises, without judgment, without grasping. It means seeing clearly what is happening in the present: joy, sorrow, stillness, movement, and meeting it with openness. The Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh often said, "Walk as if you are kissing the earth with your feet." This is the spirit of mindfulness, to treat every action as a tender encounter with life. Take a moment now. Inhale slowly. Notice the coolness of the air. Exhale gently. Notice the warmth leaving the body. This simple act is mindfulness in practice: awareness, presence, peace. When practiced regularly, mindfulness transforms how we experience life. Ordinary moments become extraordinary. Washing dishes becomes a meditation on water and touch. Eating becomes a meditation on taste and nourishment. Even listening becomes deeper as we give our full attention to another without rehearsing our reply. Mindfulness also softens suffering. When pain arises, instead of being consumed by it, we notice it. Ah, this is pain. When fear arises, we notice. This is fear. Naming the experience creates space, and in that space, freedom grows. Life will always contain joy and sorrow, gain and loss, but mindfulness gives us the strength to meet each with steadiness. Instead of clinging to joy or resisting pain, we learn to be with both, fully present, fully alive. So tonight, as you rest, let mindfulness be your companion. With each breath, return to presence. With each thought, return to awareness. With each heartbeat, return to now. This moment is enough. This breath is enough. This life, exactly as it is enough. Rest in the art of presence. Rest in mindfulness. Rest in the simple miracle of being here, now. Breath is the simplest, most constant teacher we have. It is with us from the moment of birth until the final moment of life. Always moving, always present, always available. In every tradition of mindfulness, the breath is honored as the gateway to awareness. The Buddha himself taught breathing meditation as a foundation of practice. He said, "When breathing in, know you are breathing in. When breathing out, know you are breathing out." This seems simple, but within it lies profound truth. For in the breath, we find both presence and impermanence. Each inhale arises on its own. Each exhale dissolves naturally. No breath can be held forever. No breath can be skipped. The breath teaches us life's rhythm, arising and passing, receiving and releasing. When the mind is restless, the breath is a refuge. When worry takes hold, the breath is an anchor. When sorrow overwhelms, the breath reminds us, this moment is survivable. Take a slow inhale now. Notice the air entering through the nose, cool against the nostrils. Hold it gently for a heartbeat. Then release, feeling the warmth of the exhale soften the body. This is mindfulness made simple. The breath also reveals the connection between body and mind. Notice how a shallow, rapid breath can make the mind feel anxious. Notice how a long, steady breath calms the nervous system, softens the heart, clears the mind. The breath is not only a sign of life, it is a bridge between body and awareness. In daily life, the breath can return you to presence again and again. Waiting in line, you can notice one inhale and one exhale. In the midst of conflict, you can pause for a single breath before speaking. On waking in the morning, you can greet the first breath with gratitude. The Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh taught, breathing in, I calm, body and mind. Breathing out, I smile. Dwelling in the present moment, I know this is a wonderful moment. The breath is not only a tool for calm, but a reminder of joy. Even in difficulty, the breath remains faithful. When thoughts scatter, it gathers you. When emotions surge, it steadies you. When exhaustion comes, it renews you. The breath is not something you must control, it is something you can befriend. Take another breath now. Inhale peace, exhale tension. Inhale clarity, exhale release. Notice how even a few mindful breaths begin to transform the moment. And as you rest tonight, let the breath be your guide. No need to force it, no need to shape it. Simply notice, inhale, exhale, presence unfolding, awareness awakening. The breath has always been here. The breath will always return. It is the gateway to mindfulness, the teacher of impermanence, the rhythm of life itself. So rest in the breath, rest in awareness, rest in the gentle miracle that you are breathing now. Mindfulness is not limited to the meditation cushion. It is meant to infuse every part of life. Each action, no matter how ordinary, can become a doorway to presence. The Buddha once said, when walking, know that you are walking. When standing, know that you are standing. When sitting, know that you are sitting. When lying down, know that you are lying down. His words remind us that every posture, every movement, is an opportunity to awaken. Think of washing dishes. At first, it may seem like a chore, something to rush through. But with mindfulness, the experience changes. You feel the warmth of the water, the slipperiness of the soap, the smoothness of the dish. The task becomes less about finishing and more about being. Or think of eating. Often, meals pass by in distraction, phones, television, hurried thoughts. But to eat mindfully is to taste each bite fully, to notice texture and flavor, to be grateful for the countless conditions that brought the food to your table, the earth, the rain, the sun, the hands that harvested and prepared it. Walking, too, can be transformed. Each step becomes a meditation. The foot lifts, moves, and touches the earth. Awareness follows. You are no longer rushing to the future, but arriving fully in the present. Mindfulness in daily activities does not slow life down unnaturally. It enriches it. It turns the ordinary into the extraordinary by revealing the fullness that was always there. The Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh taught, drink your tea slowly and reverently, as if it is the axis on which the world earth revolves, slowly, evenly, without rushing toward the future. In these words, He shows us how presence in simple acts can bring profound peace. Take a moment now. Imagine brushing your teeth with awareness, feeling the texture of the brush, the taste of the paste, the rhythm of the movement. Or imagine folding laundry with awareness, the softness of the fabric, the smell of clean clothes, the movement of hands. These tasks are no longer burdens, they are moments of practice. Even in conversation, mindfulness transforms. Listening fully, without planning your reply, allows you to truly hear. Speaking slowly, with awareness of tone, allows you to speak kindly. In this way, mindfulness deepens connection as well as presence. When we bring mindfulness into daily life, we discover there is no separation between practice and life. Washing dishes is practice. Walking is practice. Eating, listening, resting, all are opportunities to be awake. Take a breath now. Inhale presence. Exhale gratitude. Consider one activity you will do tomorrow. Cooking, cleaning, working. How might it feel if you gave it your full attention, your full presence? This is the art of mindfulness in daily activities. Not escape from life, but deeper immersion in it. Not rushing past the ordinary, but awakening to its quiet beauty. So tonight, as you rest, know that tomorrow you can live mindfully in every step, every word, every action. Life itself is the practice, and mindfulness is the way we honor it. Mindfulness may sound simple, but in practice, it can feel challenging. The mind resists stillness. It prefers movement, distraction, and noise. As soon as we sit quietly, thoughts rush in like a storm. This is not failure, it is simply the nature of the mind. The Buddha compared the mind to a restless monkey, swinging from branch to branch. Left unchecked, it leaps from one thought to another, never settling. But through mindfulness, the monkey mind can be calmed, not by force, but by gentle awareness. One obstacle is distraction. The phone buzzes, the mind wanders, the to-do list grows louder. In these moments, mindfulness means noticing the distraction and then returning. Not with anger, not with shame, but with gentleness. Ah, the mind wandered. Now it returns. Don't. Another obstacle is restlessness. The body may feel uncomfortable. The mind may protest. This is boring. I don't have time. But boredom itself can be an object of mindfulness. What is boredom, if not resistance to the present? By observing it, by naming it, even boredom becomes part of the practice. Sleepiness can also arise. The body grows heavy, the eyelids droop. Here too, mindfulness helps. You may straighten the posture, take a deeper breath, or simply notice the drowsiness without judgment. In doing so, you awaken even within tiredness. Perhaps the greatest obstacle is self-criticism. The thought arises, I can't meditate, my mind is too messy, I'm failing at this. But the truth is, there is no failure in mindfulness. Every return to the breath is success. Every moment of awareness, no matter how brief, is practice. Thich Nhat Hanh said, feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor. In this way, obstacles are not barriers but reminders to return. Each time the mind drifts, each time you notice and return, the practice grows stronger. Take a breath now. Inhale awareness. Exhale judgment. Inhale gentleness. Exhale self-criticism. Let this breath remind you, returning is enough. Mindfulness is not about perfection. It is about beginning again, moment by moment. The mind will wander 1,000 times, and 1,000 times you can return. Each return is a victory. Each return is the heart of the practice. When obstacles arise tomorrow, distraction, boredom, restlessness, you need not resist them. Simply notice, breathe, and return. Like waves on the ocean, they come and go. Beneath them, awareness remains steady. So tonight, as you rest, release the need for perfection. Trust that the practice is working, even in the wandering. Trust that mindfulness is not about control, but about presence. You need not chase stillness. You need only return, gently, again and again. Mindfulness begins as a practice, but in time, it becomes a way of life. What starts as moments of attention on the breath or steps can grow into a steady awareness that infuses every action, every word, every thought. The Buddha said, "A disciplined mind brings happiness." Discipline here does not mean harshness. It means presence. It means living with awareness instead of drifting through life in forgetfulness. When mindfulness becomes a way of life, we begin to see the world differently. Ordinary tasks no longer feel empty. They become alive with meaning. Drinking water becomes an act of gratitude. Sweeping the floor becomes an act of care. Speaking becomes an act of kindness. Mindfulness also changes how we relate to others. We listen more deeply without rushing to respond. We speak with more intention, aware of the weight words carry. We see the humanity in others more clearly, softening judgment and strengthening compassion. But perhaps the most profound shift is within ourselves. Instead of living in regret of the past or anxiety about the future, we begin to live here, now. We meet each moment as it is, with openness. And in that openness, we find peace. Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, "Mindfulness is the energy that helps us recognize the conditions of happiness that are already present in our lives. Too often, we chase happiness as though it were distant, hidden in some future achievement. But mindfulness shows us that happiness is already here, in the breath, in the sky, in the presence of those we love." Take a breath now. Inhale, noticing life flowing into you. Exhale, noticing peace flowing out of you. This is happiness in its simplest form. When mindfulness becomes a way of life, obstacles still arise, anger, fear, sorrow, but we meet them differently. Instead of being swept away, we pause, breathe, and respond with clarity. Mindfulness does not erase suffering, but it transforms our relationship with it. And as we live with mindfulness, we create ripples around us. Others notice the calm in our presence, the kindness in our words, the steadiness in our actions. Without speaking a word, mindfulness becomes a gift we offer the world. So tonight, as you rest, reflect on how mindfulness can shape your days, not as a practice reserved for quiet moments, but as a thread woven through every breath, every step, every choice. Mindfulness is not something you do, it is something you live. And in living it, you discover that peace is never far away. It is always here, waiting in the present moment. Rest in that truth. Rest in mindfulness. Rest in the simple joy of being alive, here and now. One of the Buddha's most profound teachings is the middle way. After years of seeking truth through extremes, indulgence in luxury as a prince, and then severe asceticism as a wandering monk, he discovered that neither path led to liberation. Instead, peace was found in balance. The Buddha described the middle way as avoiding the two extremes of self-indulgence and self-mortification. Both bring suffering. The first traps us in endless craving. The second drains us with needless pain. True freedom lies in walking the path between. He explained it through a simple image, a lute string. If the string is too loose, it makes no sound. If it is too tight, it snaps. Only when tuned with balance does it create harmony. Our lives are like this string, too loose, and we drift into carelessness, too tight, and we break under pressure. Balance brings harmony. The middle way does not mean mediocrity. It does not mean living half-heartedly. It means engaging fully with life, while avoiding extremes that lead to suffering. Think of food. Overindulgence leads to discomfort, while deprivation leads to weakness. The middle way is nourishment eating with awareness, neither in excess nor in neglect. Think of work. Too much ambition burns us out, while too little effort leaves us stagnant. The middle way is diligence balanced with rest. Even in spiritual practice, balance is essential. To push too hard can create frustration. To be too lax can create apathy. The middle way invites steady, compassionate persistence, practicing with dedication, but without strain. Take a moment now. Reflect on an area of your life where the string feels too tight, perhaps pressure, stress, or perfectionism. Then reflect on where it feels too loose, perhaps distraction, neglect, or avoidance. How might balance bring harmony? The middle way is not fixed. Balance shifts as life shifts. At times, you may need more discipline. At other times, more gentleness. Walking the middle way means adjusting with awareness, tuning the string of your life again and again. The Buddha said, "Avoid extremes and walk the path of moderation." This is not a rule to follow blindly, but a wisdom to embody, a reminder that peace is found in harmony, not in struggle. So tonight, as you rest, let the image of the lute string remain with you. Ask yourself, where can I soften? Where can I strengthen? Where can I find balance? The middle way is not a distant philosophy. It is a daily practice, a choice made in eating, working, resting, speaking, loving, a choice to live with awareness and harmony. Walk this path gently, walk it steadily, walk it in balance. For the middle way is not only the Buddha's path, it is the path of all who seek peace. Life asks us to move and to pause, to strive and to let go, yet so often we lean too far into one or the other. Some of us push endlessly, afraid of slowing down. Others drift, afraid of stepping forward. The Buddha's teaching of the middle way invites us to balance effort with rest. Effort is necessary. Without it, nothing blooms. Seeds remain in the soil. Dreams remain unshaped. Growth requires energy, attention, and care. The Buddha encouraged right effort, not frantic striving, but the steady, mindful energy that nurtures progress. Rest is just as essential. Without it, effort collapses. A field cannot yield harvest after harvest without lying fallow. A body cannot carry weight endlessly without pausing. A mind cannot remain clear without moments of stillness. Rest is not laziness, it is renewal. The Buddha once said, "Do not pursue pleasure, do not pursue pain, walk the path between." These words remind us that both extremes, endless striving and endless idleness, lead to imbalance. Balance is found in rhythm, in giving and receiving, in effort and rest. Think of breathing. Inhale too much, and the body grows tense. Exhale too much, and the body weakens. It is the balance of both that sustains life. Effort and rest are like this, each necessary, each incomplete without the other. Take a moment now. Reflect on where in your life you lean too far into effort. Do you push yourself beyond kindness? Do you measure your worth only by productivity? And then reflect. Where do you avoid effort? Where do you shrink from challenge, leaving your potential dormant? The middle way invites us to tune this balance, to work with steadiness and care, while honoring the need for renewal, to rest without guilt, knowing it gives strength to effort, to exert without strain, knowing it finds harmony in pause. Practical mindfulness can help here. Before beginning a task, pause for one breath. Set your intention with clarity. When you finish, pause again. Rest in the moment of completion. These small practices weave balance into the rhythm of your days. Thich Nhat Hanh taught, sometimes your joy is the source of your smile, but sometimes your smile can be the source of your joy. In the same way, sometimes effort creates rest, and sometimes rest creates effort. They are not enemies, but partners. As you lie down tonight, let this truth soften you. You do not need to push endlessly. You do not need to retreat endlessly. Life is sustained by both movement and stillness, by both reaching and releasing. Inhale effort, exhale rest. Inhale energy, exhale renewal. This is the balance of life, available in every breath. So walk gently between striving and idleness. Let your days carry both diligence and ease. Let your life reflect the harmony of effort and rest. For in this balance, you will find not only peace, but strength. Human life is lived in relationship. We exist as individuals, yet always in connection to others. Too much focus on the self can lead to selfishness and isolation. Too much focus on others can lead to exhaustion and neglect of our own needs. The Buddha's middle way invites us to balance care for self with care for others. Self-care is not indulgence. It is the foundation for presence. When you nourish your body, calm your mind, and tend to your heart, you create the conditions to serve others with strength and clarity. Neglecting yourself in the name of generosity often leads to resentment or burnout. At the same time, compassion means turning outward. If self-care becomes self-absorption, we risk cutting ourselves off from the richness of connection. True joy is found not only in tending to our own well-being, but in easing the suffering of those around us. The Buddha taught, if you light a lamp for someone else, it will also brighten your own path. In these words, we see the harmony of self and others. Care is not a choice between the two. It is a circle. What we offer outward nourishes us inwardly. What we tend inwardly strengthens what we can offer outward. Think of relationships in your life. When you are well rested, calm, and at peace, how much easier it is to listen, to forgive, to love. When you are depleted, every word feels heavier, every demand feels sharper. Caring for yourself is not selfish, it is preparation for compassion. And think of the joy that comes from giving, a kind word, a helping hand, a listening ear. These acts do not diminish you, they expand you. They reveal the truth that self and other are not separate, but interwoven. Take a moment now. Inhale, offering compassion to yourself. Exhale, offering compassion to another. Inhale, nourishment. Exhale, generosity. Feel the rhythm between self and others, like the tide flowing in and out. Sometimes, the balance leans inward. Illness, grief, or exhaustion may call you to turn towards self-care. At other times, the balance leans outward, when someone else's suffering calls for your presence. The middle way does not fix the ratio, it invites you to listen, to adjust, to live in harmony with shifting needs. In practice, balance may mean setting boundaries, saying no when your energy is low, so that your yes can be genuine when it is given. balance may mean choosing stillness one day and service the next. Always it means honoring both sides of the circle. Thich Nhat Hanh said, "Compassion is a verb. It is not a concept to hold, but an action to live, and it begins with the recognition that you, too, are worthy of compassion." So tonight, as you rest, reflect on this. How might you care for yourself more gently tomorrow? How might you offer care to others more freely? Let your breath guide you. Inhale self-care, exhale compassion for others. The balance is not perfect, and it does not need to be. It is a living rhythm, shifting like the tide. Trust it, honor it, walk it with awareness. For in balancing self and others, you walk the middle way. You walk the path of harmony. Love is at the heart of the human experience. We long for connection, for intimacy, for belonging. Yet love, when tangled with attachment, can also bring suffering. The Buddha's middle way offers guidance to love deeply, yet without clinging, to care fully, yet without grasping. Attachment is the tendency to hold too tightly. We mistake impermanent things for permanent ones. We believe relationships will never change, or that people belong to us. When change inevitably comes, the clinging heart suffers. Detachment, misunderstood, can seem cold, as though the answer were to withdraw from love altogether. But this is not the teaching. True detachment does not mean indifference. It means freedom within love. The Buddha once said, "If you love someone but cling to them, you bring them suffering. If you love someone without clinging, you bring them freedom." These words remind us that love and freedom are not opposites. They are companions. Think of holding a bird in your hands. If you grip too tightly, you harm it. If you open your hands completely, it flies away. But if you hold gently, with care and freedom, the bird rests peacefully. This is the balance between detachment and love. Love with clinging becomes control. We demand, we fear, we grasp. Love with freedom becomes generosity. We cherish the presence of another, but do not bind them. We rejoice in their happiness, even when it is apart from us. This balance also applies to self-love. Attachment to self-image can trap us clinging to youth, beauty, success, or status. True self-love is gentler. It recognizes impermanence and allows us to change. It frees us to live authentically, without chains. Take a moment now. Inhale, feeling the warmth of love. Exhale, releasing the grip of clinging. Inhale compassion. Exhale freedom. Notice how love feels lighter when it carries no chains. Relationships flourish in this balance. When we love without clinging, we listen more deeply, we forgive more easily, we celebrate without envy, and we allow the natural flow of life arrivals and departures, beginnings and endings, without losing the essence of love. This does not mean love is without grief. When we lose someone we love, the heart aches. But if we have loved without clinging, grief softens into gratitude. We honor what was given, without being destroyed by what has changed. Thich Nhat Hanh taught, "You must love in such a way that the person you love feels free." This is not just wisdom for romance, it is guidance for every relationship with friends, with family, with the world itself. So tonight, as you rest, reflect on the balance of love and detachment. Ask yourself, where do I cling too tightly? Where can I love more freely? Let your breath guide you. Inhale love, exhale, release. The middle way does not ask you to choose between detachment and love. It asks you to weave them together, to love fully, and to let go gently. In this balance, Love becomes what it was always meant to be. Not possession, but freedom. Not fear, but joy. The middle way is not a rigid rule, but a living rhythm. It does not demand perfection. It asks only for awareness, for harmony, for the courage to walk between extremes. The Buddha discovered this truth after years of searching. He had tasted every extreme wealth and indulgence as a prince, deprivation and hardship as an ascetic. Neither brought peace. Only balance, only the middle way, led to awakening. This teaching is as alive today as it was then, for we too swing between extremes. We rush into overwork, then collapse into exhaustion. We cling to relationships, then withdraw in fear. We seek pleasure, then punish ourselves with guilt. The middle way whispers, neither extreme will bring peace. Think again of the lute string. Too loose, it falls silent. Too tight, it snaps. In balance, it sings. Our lives are this instrument. When tuned with awareness, they create harmony. The middle way is not about avoiding passion, nor is it about rejecting discipline. It is about holding both with wisdom. It is about walking gently on the earth, steady and awake. In daily life, this means balance in effort and rest, in self and others, in detachment and love. It means pausing before extremes pull us away and asking, where is harmony here? Take a breath now. Inhale balance. Exhale harmony. Inhale awareness. Exhale peace. With each breath, you return to the middle way. The Buddha said, avoid the extremes of indulgence and austerity. Walk the middle path. These words are not distant teachings. They are guidance for this very moment, for this very breath. Harmony does not mean life will be without challenge. Storms will come, loss will come, but balance gives us the steadiness to face them, like a tree rooted deeply, bending with the wind but not breaking. The middle way anchors us in resilience. So tonight, as you rest, let the middle way guide you. Let it remind you that you need not push endlessly, nor withdraw completely. You need not cling, nor reject. You can walk gently between, in balance, in awareness, in peace. The middle way is not far away. It is here, in each breath, in each step, in each choice. Rest now in harmony. Rest now in balance. Rest now in the peace of the middle way. The Buddha's first noble truth is simple yet profound. Life contains suffering. At first, this may sound heavy, even discouraging, but the Buddha did not share this truth to weigh us down. He shared it to awaken us, to invite us to see suffering not only as a burden, but also as a teacher. Suffering wears many faces: physical pain, illness, and aging, emotional wounds, heartbreak, and grief, the quiet ache of loneliness, the restless hunger of desire, the fear of loss. These experiences touch every human life. None of us are exempt. And yet, within suffering lies the seed of wisdom. The Buddha once said, "By suffering arises understanding." Pain, when met with awareness, becomes a doorway to growth. It softens arrogance, deepens compassion, and reminds us of what truly matters. Think of a time you faced hardship. Perhaps it broke you open. Perhaps it showed you strength you did not know you carried. Perhaps it deepened your empathy for others. This is suffering as teacher, not something we seek, but something we can learn from when it comes. Like fire shaping metal, suffering shapes the heart. It burns away illusions, teaching us impermanence. It strips us of control, teaching us humility. It reveals the fragility of life, teaching us gratitude. Take a breath now. Inhale awareness. Exhale resistance. Notice any pain you carry in body, in mind, in heart. Instead of pushing it away, allow yourself to whisper, "This too is a teacher." This does not mean glorifying suffering. The Buddha never encouraged seeking pain. Rather, he encouraged meeting the pain that naturally arises with wisdom and compassion, instead of denial or despair. When we resist suffering, it grows heavier. When we meet it with presence, it becomes lighter. We begin to see its lessons more clearly. A broken heart can teach us the depth of love. Illness can teach us to cherish health. Failure can teach us resilience. Loss can teach us the preciousness of life. In this way, suffering transforms from enemy to guide. The Zen master Khalil Gibran wrote, "Out of suffering have emerged the strongest souls. The most massive characters are seared with scars. Though scars remain, they remind us of our capacity to heal, to endure, to grow." So tonight, as you rest, let suffering be reframed in your heart, not as punishment, not as curse, but as teacher. Let it remind you of your resilience, your compassion, your humanity. Take another breath. Inhale courage, exhale release. Inhale strength, exhale peace. Each breath is a reminder that you are still here, still learning, still growing. Suffering will visit every life, but how we meet it, with resistance or with openness, with despair or with awareness, determines what it leaves behind. When you see suffering as teacher, you begin to walk the path of wisdom. When the Buddha first spoke after his awakening, he shared not grand secrets of the universe, but a simple, honest truth. Life contains suffering. This became the first of the Four Noble Truths, the foundation of his teaching. The first truth is dukkha, often translated as suffering, but also meaning unsatisfactoriness, restlessness, the sense that life never fully satisfies. From small irritations to deep grief, this is the human condition. The second truth is the cause of suffering, craving, or attachment. We suffer when we cling to what changes, when we demand permanence from what is impermanent, when we grasp at pleasure or resist pain. Desire itself is not the enemy, but the clinging that binds us to endless dissatisfaction. The third truth is hope. The end of suffering is possible. When craving loosens, suffering loosens. When we release our grip, peace arises. This is not a distant dream, but a truth experienced in small moments, in the relief of letting go, in the calm of acceptance. The fourth truth is the path, the Noble Eightfold Path, a guide to living with wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. It is a map for transforming suffering into freedom. Take a breath now. Inhale awareness of life's challenges. Exhale the hope of release. Inhale honesty. Exhale compassion. These four truths are not abstract philosophy. They are lived reality. Think of hunger. The irritation arises. This is suffering. The cause is craving for food. Relief comes when the craving is met, but even more deeply, when we see that craving itself is temporary, passing like a cloud. The path is learning to meet the experience with awareness, not compulsion. Or think of grief, the ache of loss. This is suffering. The cause is clinging to what has changed. Peace begins when we soften our grip, honoring love without demanding permanence. The path is compassion, presence, and wisdom. The Four Noble Truths are like a doctor's diagnosis. First, the recognition of illness. Second, the identification of its cause. Third, the knowledge that healing is possible. Fourth, the prescription of the cure. The Buddha once said, "I teach suffering, its origin, cessation, and the path." he reduced his vast teaching to these four truths, knowing they contained the essence of liberation. Take another breath. Inhale, acknowledging suffering. Exhale, knowing it has a cause. Inhale, trusting it can end. Exhale, walking the path. This framework does not erase pain. It transforms how we meet it. Instead of being crushed by suffering, we study it. Instead of being lost in despair, we find the way through. So tonight, as you rest, let the four noble truths settle in your heart. Let them remind you that suffering is not a flaw, but a teacher. That craving is not destiny, but a habit that can be released. That peace is not far, but always near. The truths are simple, yet their wisdom is endless. They are the lanterns that light the path, guiding us from suffering to freedom. Rest now in their light. Rest now in their promise. Rest now in their peace. Hardship is not something we seek, yet it arrives uninvited in every life. Illness, loss, disappointment, betrayal, these moments test the heart. But within them lies a hidden gift, the chance to learn, to deepen, to awaken. The Buddha did not turn away from hardship. He began his teaching by acknowledging it openly. Life contains suffering. By facing this truth, rather than denying it, we begin to transform it. Think of the lotus flower. It rises from the muddiest waters to bloom in the sunlight. Without the mud, there is no lotus. In the same way, without hardship, the heart cannot fully open. Each trial carries a lesson. Illness may teach us patience and humility. Loss may teach us the preciousness of life. Failure may teach us resilience. Betrayal may teach us discernment and forgiveness. These lessons are not learned in comfort, but in challenge. Take a breath now. Inhale courage. Exhale acceptance. Inhale openness. Exhale strength. Even in difficulty, the breath remains steady, reminding you that life continues, moment by moment. The Buddha once said, "By suffering arises wisdom." This does not mean we must seek suffering, but that when it comes, we can meet it with awareness instead of resistance. In doing so, we discover wisdom hidden within the pain. Think of a time you faced hardship that seemed unbearable. Perhaps in the moment, it felt like the end. Yet as time passed, you may have seen growth emerge. Perhaps you became stronger, more compassionate, more awake. This is hardship as teacher. It is natural to resist pain. The mind says, "Why me? This is unfair." But when we shift the question to, "What can I learn? How can I grow?" the burden begins to transform. Hardship becomes less about punishment and more about possibility. Hardship also connects us. When you suffer, you understand more deeply the suffering of others. Grief makes you tender toward other grieving hearts. Struggle makes you kinder to those who struggle. In this way, hardship softens the boundaries of self and grows compassion. Take another breath. Inhale, remembering your strength. Exhale, releasing despair. Whisper inwardly, "This hardship can teach me. This hardship can open me. This hardship will pass." The lotus does not curse the mud. It uses it to rise. In the same way, your hardships can become the very soil of your awakening. So, tonight, as you rest, do not fear hardship. Do not deny it. Let it be your teacher. Let it show you resilience, compassion, and the preciousness of this fleeting life. Rest in the truth that even in difficulty, you are growing. Even in struggle, you are learning. Even in hardship, you are awakening. Suffering, though heavy, carries within it the seed of compassion. When we experience pain, our hearts soften toward the pain of others. What once seemed distant becomes intimate. What once seemed abstract becomes real. The Buddha taught, it is by knowing suffering that we develop compassion. Pain, though unwelcome, awakens empathy. It shows us that all beings share the same wish, to be free from suffering. Think of grief. Before loss touches us, another's sorrow may seem far away. But when grief visits our own heart, we suddenly understand. We know the ache, the silence, the longing, and in that knowing, compassion blooms. Or think of illness. When the body is strong, it is easy to overlook the struggles of those who suffer daily. But when sickness comes, we see more clearly. We notice fragility. We notice the courage it takes to carry pain quietly, and we begin to care more deeply. Pain also humbles us. It strips away arrogance, softens pride, and reminds us that we, too, are vulnerable. In this humility, compassion arises naturally, for if we are fragile, so is everyone else. Take a breath now. Inhale tenderness. Exhale judgment. Inhale empathy. Exhale compassion. Let the breath remind you of your shared humanity with all beings. The Zen teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, said, compassion is a verb. It is not only a feeling born from pain, but an action that flows from it. When we know suffering, we are moved to ease suffering. We listen more patiently. We forgive more quickly. We offer kindness more freely. Even the smallest act can carry great weight. A gentle word, a helping hand, a simple presence beside someone in silence. These acts may seem small, but to someone in pain, they are lifelines. Pain also reminds us of impermanence. When suffering arises, we know it will pass. And when we see another in pain, we can remind them gently, lovingly, that their suffering too will soften. This reminder itself is an act of compassion. Take another breath. Inhale awareness of your own struggles. Exhale a wish for the healing of others. Whisper inwardly, may all beings be free from suffering. May all beings know peace. This is the alchemy of pain. It transforms into compassion when met with awareness. Instead of hardening the heart, suffering can expand it. Instead of closing us off, it can open us to the shared truth of life. So tonight, as you rest, honor the compassion that has grown from your pain. Let it remind you that suffering was never wasted. It became the soil of empathy, the root of kindness, the spark of love. Rest in that truth. Rest in compassion born from pain. Rest in the gentle strength of a heart that has suffered and, because of that, loves more deeply. Suffering is not an obstacle to awakening. It is the path itself. Without suffering, there is no reason to seek, no longing to awaken, no compassion to grow. The Buddha himself reached enlightenment only after facing sickness, old age, and death. He saw suffering clearly, and in that clarity, he found freedom. The Buddha said, I teach only two things, suffering and the end of suffering. These simple words reveal the heart of his message. To deny suffering is to deny reality. To face it is to open the door to liberation. Suffering is the teacher that strips away illusion. It shows us impermanence. It shows us attachment. It shows us the futility of clinging to what must change. And in this showing, it points us toward release. Think of the times pain has shaped your path. Perhaps a heartbreak pushed you to discover resilience. Perhaps illness led you to appreciate health. Perhaps loss deepened your gratitude for love. Each sorrow carried within it the seed of awakening. Take a breath now. Inhale awareness of suffering. Exhale the possibility of release. Inhale clarity. Exhale peace. Notice how the very act of breathing teaches impermanence. Pain arises, pain passes, just as breath arises and passes. Suffering also connects us. When we recognize our own pain, we understand the pain of others more deeply. Compassion grows, hatred softens. We see that no one is exempt. Kings and beggars alike carry sorrow. This shared truth dissolves the illusion of separateness. The lotus blooms from the mud. So too does awakening bloom from suffering. Without the mud, there is no flower. Without suffering, there is no wisdom. This does not mean seeking pain or glorifying struggle. It means meeting suffering when it comes, with awareness, with patience, with compassion. It means allowing it to shape us into beings of greater love and understanding. Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, "Suffering is not enough. Life is both dreadful and wonderful. To be alive is a miracle." In this way, suffering is not the whole of life, but it is the teacher that awakens us to the miracle of life. Take another breath. Inhale gratitude for the lessons of pain. Exhale hope for peace. Whisper inwardly, "May I learn from suffering. May I awaken through suffering. May I walk the path to freedom." So tonight, as you rest, let suffering be reframed in your heart, not as punishment, not as curse, but as guide. Let it remind you of your resilience, your compassion, your capacity for awakening. For suffering is not the end of the path, it is the beginning. It is the doorway to wisdom, to compassion, to liberation. Rest now in that truth. Rest now in that freedom. Rest now in the peace of awakening born from suffering. One of the most liberating teachings of the Buddha is non-attachment. To many, the word may sound cold, as if it means withdrawing from love or life. But true non-attachment is not rejection. It is freedom. It is the ability to hold life gently, without clinging, without fear. The Buddha taught, the root of suffering is attachment. This does not mean that love or joy are wrong. It means that our tendency to grasp, to hold tightly to what must change, creates pain. We want permanence in a world that is impermanent. We want control in a world that is fluid. Non-attachment is learning to love without chains, to care deeply without clinging, to enjoy fully without grasping. It is the art of receiving what comes and releasing what goes. Think of water cupped in your hands. Hold too tightly and it slips through your fingers. Hold gently and it remains. Life is like this. When we clutch, we lose. When we hold lightly, we cherish. Non-attachment does not make us cold. It makes us more present. Instead of fearing loss, we savor the moment. Instead of demanding that joy stay forever, we embrace it while it is here. Instead of turning away from sorrow, we allow it to move through us, knowing it will pass. Take a breath now. Inhale presence. Exhale release. Inhale love. Exhale clinging. Notice how each breath teaches non-attachment. You cannot hold the inhale. You cannot keep the exhale. You can only experience each as it comes and goes. The practice of non-attachment frees us in relationships. Instead of trying to control others, we allow them to be themselves. Instead of fearing change, we honor it as part of love. We recognize that freedom is the greatest gift we can offer those we cherish. It also frees us within ourselves. We are no longer chained to old identities, old stories, old expectations. We are free to change, to grow, to live with openness. Non-attachment is not apathy. It is love without fear, joy without grasping, sorrow without despair. It is knowing that everything is temporary, and because of that, everything is precious. The Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh said, You must love in such a way that the person you love feels free. These words are the essence of non-attachment. True love is not possession, it is presence. Think of the sky holding clouds. They drift in, they drift out, yet the sky does not cling, nor resist. It simply allows. Non-attachment is living as the sky open, vast, free. So tonight, as you rest, let go of what you are clinging to. Whisper inwardly, I release, I allow, I am free. Let non-attachment soften your heart, lighten your mind, and open your spirit. For non-attachment is not the end of love. It is the beginning of freedom within love. It is not the loss of joy. It is the deepening of joy. It is not emptiness, but fullness. Rest in that truth. Rest in the freedom of non-attachment. Rest in the gentle peace of a heart that holds life lightly. The desire to possess runs deep in human life. We surround ourselves with things, houses, clothes, money, tools, treasures, believing they will bring lasting security. Yet no possession can truly be ours forever. The Buddha reminded us that clinging to possessions, like clinging to people or ideas, leads to suffering. Think of a child holding tightly to a toy. When it breaks or is taken away, tears flow. As adults, our toys simply grow larger, yet the grasping remains the same. We may fear losing wealth, status, or comfort, but all are impermanent. The Buddha once said, "The wise man lets go of all possessions, and with this detachment, joy arises." Letting go does not mean we must abandon everything. It means shifting our relationship to things, using them with gratitude, but not mistaking them for lasting peace. Control is another illusion we cling to. We want life to unfold according to our plans. We want others to behave as we expect. We want certainty in a world that is fluid. This need for control creates endless tension. Take a breath now. Inhale awareness. Exhale release. Notice how even the breath cannot be controlled beyond its rhythm. We can guide it, but not command it fully. Life is the same. Letting go of possessions and control is not about neglect or passivity. It is about trust, trusting that life gives and takes, that change is constant, that peace does not come from gripping, but from flowing. Think of water in a river. It flows freely, nourishing all it touches. If you try to dam it, it becomes stagnant. If you let it move, it stays fresh and alive. Possessions and control are like this. When we cling, we stagnate. When we release, life flows. This letting go can begin small, perhaps donating something you no longer need, perhaps softening expectations of how a day should unfold, perhaps loosening the grip on a plan when life takes a different turn. Each small release builds freedom. Consider relationships. When we try to control others, we create strain. When we release control, we create space for authenticity, trust, and love. Freedom nourishes connection in ways control never can. Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, "Letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness." True joy does not come from owning, grasping, or controlling. It comes from releasing, from allowing, from trusting life's flow. Take another breath. Inhale gratitude for what you have. Exhale attachment to keeping it forever. Inhale acceptance. Exhale control. Feel the lightness that comes when you let go, even for a moment. So tonight, as you rest, reflect gently. What possession are you clinging to, as if it could bring permanent security? What expectation or control could you soften? Whisper inwardly, "I release, I allow, I trust. Letting go is not loss. It is gain of freedom, of peace, of presence. Rest in that truth. Rest in the freedom of release. Rest in the joy of letting go. Relationships are among the greatest sources of joy in life, and also among the greatest sources of suffering. We love, we attach, we fear, we cling, yet the Buddha's teaching of non-attachment invites us to approach relationships in a new way, with freedom. Freedom in relationships does not mean distance or coldness. It means loving fully without chains. It means honoring connection while allowing space. It means giving without demanding, holding without grasping. The Buddha said, "If you love someone, set them free. If they return, they are yours. If not, they never were." This truth is not about ownership, but about letting love breathe. True love is not possession, it is presence. Think of the difference between clinging and holding. Clinging is tight, fearful, desperate. It says, "I cannot live without you. You must be mine." Holding is gentle, steady, trusting. It says, "I love you. You are free. I rejoice in your happiness." When we cling to others, we burden them with our fear. We demand they meet our needs, fulfill our expectations, never change, never leave. But change is the nature of life. When we cling, suffering is inevitable. When we love with freedom, relationships flourish. The other feels seen, not trapped. We feel light, not burdened. Love becomes a shared joy, not a shared prison. Take a breath now. Inhale love, exhale clinging. Inhale presence, exhale freedom. Notice how love feels when it carries no chains. This freedom applies to every kind of relationship: romantic, familial, friendship, even community. Parents must one day release their children into the world. Friends must accept distance and change. Lovers must allow each other to grow, even in directions unforeseen. Non-attachment does not weaken bonds, it strengthens them. For when love is free, it becomes more resilient. It is not shaken by change. It is not broken by distance. It adapts, flows, and endures. Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, "You must love in such a way that the person you love feels free." These words capture the essence of freedom in relationships. Love that imprisons is not true love. Love that frees island. Consider how this applies to self-love as well. We often cling to who we think we must be, demanding perfection, fearing failure. But when we release those chains, we allow ourselves to grow. We discover that freedom is the soil in which love truly blooms. Take another breath. Inhale compassion for yourself. Exhale freedom for others. Whisper inwardly, "May I love without clinging. May I love with freedom. May I love with peace." So tonight, as you rest, reflect on your relationships. Where do you cling too tightly? Where can you loosen, trust, and allow love to flow more freely? Freedom in relationships does not mean less love. It means deeper love. Love without fear. Love without chains. Love that celebrates, forgives, and endures. Rest now in that truth. Rest in the peace of loving and letting be. Rest in the joy of freedom, in love. So much of our suffering comes not from what happens, but from what we expect to happen. We plan, we hope, we imagine how things should unfold. When reality does not match our picture, disappointment arises. The Buddha's teaching of non-attachment invites us to release not only possessions and people, but also outcomes. Detachment from outcomes does not mean we stop caring. It means we give our best effort without tying our peace to results. We plant seeds with love, but we do not demand they bloom according to our timeline. The Buddha said, "Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment." These words remind us that clinging to outcomes pulls us out of the only place we truly live, the now. Think of an archer releasing an arrow. They practice diligently, aim carefully, and let go with focus. But once the arrow leaves the bow, its path is no longer in their hands. Wind, distance, and movement play their part. Peace comes not from forcing the arrow to hit the target, but from releasing with awareness. Life is like this. We act with intention, but we cannot control every result. When we cling to outcomes, we suffer. When we release, we find freedom. Take a breath now. Inhale effort, exhale release. Inhale intention, exhale surrender. Notice how peace arises when you let go of control. Detachment from outcomes helps in relationships. We may give love, but we cannot demand how it will be received. We may speak truth, but we cannot control how others will respond. We may offer kindness, but we cannot dictate its return. It also helps in work and daily life. We may study, but cannot ensure success. We may labor, but cannot guarantee recognition. We may strive, but cannot prevent change. When we cling to results, we suffer. When we honor the process, we are free. The Zen master Shunryu Suzuki said, "In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind, there are few." This teaching points us back to openness. When we let go of outcomes, we remain open to what unfolds, often far richer than what we imagined. Take another breath. Inhale presence, exhale expectation. Whisper inwardly, "I release the need to control results. I trust the unfolding of life." Detachment from outcomes does not weaken effort, it strengthens it. We give fully. Knowing our peace does not depend on success or failure. We live fully, knowing joy is in the journey, not the destination. So tonight, as you rest, let go of outcomes. Rest in the freedom of giving without clinging, loving without demanding, living without fear. Peace is found not in controlling life, but in trusting it. Non-attachment is not about losing love, joy, or meaning. It is about discovering them more deeply, free from fear, free from chains. It is learning to hold life gently, to walk with openness, to rest in peace, no matter what changes around us. The Buddha said, "Attachment is the root of suffering." These words remind us that freedom does not come from grasping, but from release. In letting go, we discover a lighter way of being. Think of the sky. Clouds drift in, clouds drift out. The sky does not cling, nor resist. It allows, it holds. It remains vast and free. Non-attachment invites us to live as the sky, welcoming what comes, releasing what goes, resting in spaciousness. Take a breath now. Inhale presence, exhale release. Inhale freedom, exhale peace. Notice how even the breath teaches impermanence, reminding us that nothing can be held, and nothing needs to be held. Non-attachment brings peace to relationships. We love without fear, support without control, cherish without clinging. It brings peace to daily life. We work with intention, but without despair. If results shift, we live with openness, allowing joy to arise naturally. The Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh said, "Letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness." This truth is the heart of non-attachment. Letting go is not a loss, it is the beginning of happiness. So tonight, as you rest, whisper gently, "I release, I allow, I am free." Let those words settle into your heart, easing the grip of fear softening the weight of clinging. Remember, non-attachment is not emptiness. It is fullness. It is not coldness. It is love, deep and free. It is not indifference. It is presence, alive in every breath. Rest now in that truth. Rest now in freedom. Rest now in the peace of non-attachment. The present moment is the only place where life truly happens. The past is memory. The future is imagination. Only now is alive. Yet so often, we drift into yesterday's regrets or tomorrow's worries, missing the gift of this breath, this step, this heartbeat. The Buddha said, "Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment." This teaching is the heart of mindfulness, the art of returning, again and again, to now. Mindfulness is simple yet powerful. It is noticing the rise and fall of your breath, the sensation of your body resting, the sounds in the room, the stillness between thoughts. It is paying attention with kindness, without judgment. Take a breath now. Inhale awareness, exhale distraction, inhale presence, exhale peace. Notice how the mind, which wandered outward, begins to return inward. When we live in the past, we carry weight that no longer exists. When we live in the future, we fear shadows that may never arrive. But in the present, we discover peace. For here, there is only breath, only being, only now. Mindfulness does not erase problems. It changes our relationship to them. Instead of being swallowed by regret or anxiety, we anchor ourselves in the only place where action and peace are possible, the present moment. Consider eating a meal with mindfulness. Instead of rushing, you notice the colors, the textures, the taste. Gratitude arises naturally. Or walking with mindfulness, noticing each step, the ground beneath you, the rhythm of your body. Even ordinary moments shine when seen clearly. The Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, "Walk as if you are kissing the earth with your feet." Mindfulness transforms the simplest acts into sacred experiences. Take another breath. Inhale awareness of your body. Exhale tension. Inhale awareness of your heart. Exhale kindness. Whisper inwardly, "I am here. I am present. I am at peace." Mindfulness of the present moment also helps with sleep. Instead of replaying the day or worrying about tomorrow, you rest in the simplicity of breath, the softness of the body, the calm of now. Peace arises not by solving every thought, but by returning to presence. So tonight, as you rest, let mindfulness be your companion. Let it guide you away from the weight of yesterday and the shadows of tomorrow. Let it return you to the gift of this moment. For now is enough. Now is peace. Now is where life truly begins. In a world of constant change, the breath is always here. It flows quietly, moment by moment, carrying life without demand. It is the simplest of rhythms, yet the most profound. When the mind wanders into past or future, the breath gently calls us home. The Buddha often taught mindfulness of breathing as a path to calm and clarity. He said, "Breathing in, I calm body and mind. Breathing out, I smile. With each breath, we return to presence. With each breath, we touch peace." The breath is an anchor. Just as a ship steadies in the harbor when anchored, the mind steadies in the present when resting on the breath. The storms of thought may swirl, but the anchor holds. Take a slow inhale now. Feel the air filling your chest. Exhale gently, releasing tension. Inhale calm. Exhale, release. Notice how the breath itself guides you back to stillness. Unlike possessions or control, the breath cannot be taken from you while you live. It is always here, steady, and faithful. It requires no effort to find only awareness. In moments of stress, return to the breath. In moments of joy, return to the breath. In moments of sorrow, return to the breath. The breath does not judge. It simply flows, offering a safe harbor in every storm. Think of the ocean tide. Waves rise, waves fall, yet the tide continues. Your breath is the same a tide within you, rising and falling, reminding you of impermanence and continuity. Thich Nhat Hanh said, "Feelings come and go, like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor." These words remind us that whatever thoughts or emotions arise, the breath remains steady. Take another breath now. Inhale presence, exhale distraction, inhale steadiness, exhale peace. Whisper inwardly, "The breath anchors me, the breath guides me, the breath is my home." When sleep feels distant, the breath is your ally. Instead of wrestling with racing thoughts, focus gently on each inhale and exhale. Count them if you wish. Imagine them as waves on the shore. Sooner or later, the mind softens, the body releases, and rest arrives. The breath teaches patience. You cannot rush it. You cannot hoard it. You cannot hold it forever. You can only receive, release, and trust that the next breath will come. In this rhythm, we find peace. So tonight, as you rest, let the breath be your anchor. Return to it again and again, no matter how far the mind drifts. Trust it to hold you steady, to guide you gently into calm, into stillness, into sleep. For the breath is not only life, it is peace, it is presence, it is home. The mind is like a river, always moving, always flowing. Thoughts rise and fall, one after another, often without pause. Some are pleasant, others painful, many ordinary. When we cling to them or push them away, we become entangled. But when we observe without judgment, we discover freedom. The Buddha taught, "Do not believe everything you think. Thoughts are not truth. They are passing clouds in the sky of awareness. When we recognize them as temporary, they lose their power to control us." Take a breath now. Inhale awareness. Exhale, release. As thoughts arise, imagine them as leaves drifting on the surface of a stream. Watch them float by, without needing to grasp or resist. When we judge our thoughts, we add weight to them. A single moment of anger becomes shame. A single worry becomes a spiral. But when we notice thoughts with kindness, here is worry, here is anger, here is joy, they soften and pass more easily. Consider sitting quietly, noticing your mind. A memory may arise. You do not need to replay it endlessly. A fear may arise. You do not need to solve it immediately. A plan may arise. You do not need to chase it. Simply see, acknowledge, and let go. Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, "Feelings are just visitors. Let them come and go." This applies to thoughts as well. They visit, they pass. You remain, steady as the sky. Take another breath. Inhale awareness of thought. Exhale judgment. Whisper inwardly, "This too will pass." Notice the lightness that comes from not clinging, not resisting. Observing without judgment does not mean ignoring. It means seeing clearly. Anger is recognized as anger, not denied. Fear is recognized as fear, not hidden. But instead of reacting blindly, we meet each thought with awareness and compassion. This practice brings peace to daily life. When criticism arises, you do not become the critic. When doubt arises, you do not become the doubt. You remain the observer, steady and kind. It also brings freedom in relationships. Instead of reacting to every thought of anger or fear, You pause, observe, and respond with mindfulness. This creates space for understanding, for patience, for love. The Buddha once said, "As rain falls on a slanted roof, thoughts flow off the wise mind. The wise do not cling, they allow. They let thoughts pass as naturally as rain flowing to the earth." So tonight, as you rest, imagine your thoughts as clouds drifting across the sky, as leaves on a stream, as rain on a roof. Let them come, let them go. Rest in the awareness that you are not your thoughts. You are the space in which they arise. Rest now in that freedom. Rest now in the peace of observing without judgment. Rest now in the stillness beyond thought. Awareness is more than a practice for meditation, cushions, and quiet rooms. It is a way of living, moment by moment. When we bring awareness into daily life, ordinary actions become extraordinary. Eating, walking, speaking, even washing dishes can become opportunities for peace. The Buddha said, "In every action, be mindful." This does not mean moving with stiffness or perfection. It means living with presence, seeing clearly what is happening within and around you. Take a breath now. Inhale awareness. Exhale distraction. Notice the simplicity of this moment. Even now, you are practicing. Awareness transforms daily life by slowing it down. Instead of rushing through meals, you taste each bite. Instead of walking lost in thought, you feel the ground beneath your feet. Instead of speaking automatically, you listen deeply and respond with care. Thich Nhat Hanh described washing dishes mindfully, not as a chore to finish quickly, but as an act of presence. Feel the water, notice the bubbles, honor the moment. In this way, even washing dishes becomes sacred. When awareness enters daily life, stress softens. We no longer live only in anticipation of the future or regret of the past. We live here, now, where peace resides. Take another breath. Inhale awareness of the body. Exhale awareness of the surroundings. Whisper inwardly, "This moment is enough." Awareness also strengthens relationships. When we listen with full attention, without planning our reply, others feel seen. When we speak with mindfulness, words become kinder, clearer, more compassionate. Awareness becomes the foundation of harmony. At work, awareness brings clarity. Instead of being swept away by stress, you pause, breathe, and return to focus. In traffic, awareness softens frustration. In waiting, awareness transforms impatience into presence. The Buddha once said, "A person who is awake shines in the night like a bright moon." Awareness is this awakening, a light that guides us through the ordinary moments of life. Take another breath. Inhale presence. Exhale peace. Let awareness flood even the simplest details. The sound of your breath, the stillness of the room, the rhythm of your heart. Awareness does not demand more time in your day. It transforms the time you already have. It is not about adding something new, but about seeing what is already here. So tonight, as you rest, reflect on how you might carry awareness into tomorrow. Eating breakfast, greeting a loved one, walking to your car. Let each small moment be touched by presence. For in awareness, there is no ordinary life. There is only the extraordinary gift of this moment. Rest now in that gift. Rest now in the peace of awareness. Rest now in the light of being fully alive. The present moment is a gift that slips away unnoticed when the mind is elsewhere. Yet the Buddha's teaching reminds us, life is only ever lived now. The past cannot be changed. The future cannot be controlled. Only this moment is alive, waiting to be embraced. The Buddha said, "The past is already gone. The future is not yet here. There's only one moment for you to live, and that is the present moment." These words are an invitation to awaken not someday, but today, not later, but now. Living fully in the present does not mean ignoring the past or neglecting the future. It means carrying them lightly, without being bound by them. The past becomes a teacher, not a chain. The future becomes a possibility, not a prison. Take a breath now. Inhale presence, exhale, release. Whisper inwardly, "This moment is enough." When we live in the present, ordinary life becomes radiant. A cup of tea is not just a drink, it is warmth, aroma, comfort in your hands. A walk is not just steps, it is contact with the earth, rhythm in your body, air filling your lungs. A smile is not just expression, it is connection, kindness, light. Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, "Drink your tea slowly and reverently, as if it is the axis on which the world earth revolves." This teaching reminds us that the present moment, however small, contains the whole of life. The present is also where peace resides. Anxiety belongs to the future, regret belongs to the past. But here, in this breath, there is only calm. Here, there is only being. Here, there is only life. Take another breath. Inhale awareness. Exhale gratitude. Notice how the body relaxes when the mind rests in now. Living fully in the present does not mean life will be free from challenge. Difficulties will come, but when we are present, we meet them with clarity instead of panic, with compassion instead of fear. The moment itself is always bearable. It is the mind's projections that overwhelm us. So tonight, as you rest, release the past with kindness, release the future with trust. Settle gently into the present. Let it hold you, soothe you, guide you into peace. Rest now in the gift of now. Rest now in the fullness of life, as it island. Rest now in the freedom of living fully in the present. Everything in life is changing. The seasons turn, rivers flow, bodies grow old, stars are born and fade away. Impermanence is not an idea. It is the very fabric of existence. The Buddha taught that understanding impermanence is the key to peace. The Buddha said, "All conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering." These words remind us that clinging to what changes only creates pain. By accepting impermanence, we learn to live with freedom. Think of a flower. It blooms with beauty, then wilts, then returns to the earth. We do not curse the flower for fading. We cherish it while it is here, knowing its beauty lies in its briefness. Life itself is like this. Take a breath now. Inhale awareness of change. Exhale release. Notice how each breath arises and passes, never the same twice. The breath itself is impermanence embodied. Impermanence can feel frightening. We fear losing loved ones, health, possessions, even moments of joy. But impermanence is also what makes life precious. Without endings, there would be no beginnings. Without change, there would be no growth. Think of the night sky. Stars fade, yet new ones appear. Think of a tree. Leaves fall, yet new ones grow. Think of your own life. You are not the same as yesterday, and that is what makes life alive. Thich Nhat Hanh wrote, "Thanks to impermanence, everything is possible. Without change, no suffering could end, no healing could occur, no transformation could happen. Impermanence is not an enemy, but a gift." Take another breath. Inhale gratitude for beginnings. Exhale peace with endings. Whisper inwardly, "I accept change. I flow with impermanence. I am free." When we resist impermanence, we suffer. We cling to youth, possessions, relationships, identities, as if they could stay the same forever. But when we accept impermanence, we discover ease. We learn to love more deeply, forgive more quickly, and release more gently. Impermanence also teaches compassion. When we realize that everyone we meet is changing, aging, passing, just like us, our hearts soften. We see how fragile, how precious, how fleeting each life, island. This awareness grows kindness. So tonight, as you rest, let impermanence be your teacher. Do not fear it. Embrace it. Let it remind you to cherish what is here, to release what has passed, and to trust what will come. Rest now in the truth of impermanence. Rest now in the peace of change. Rest now in the gift of this fleeting, precious moment. Impermanence is not something to fear, it is something to flow with. When we embrace change with grace, life becomes lighter. We stop fighting what cannot be stopped, and instead, learn to walk with it gently. The Buddha said, "Just as a snake sheds its skin, we must shed our past again and again." These words remind us that change is not only loss, it is renewal. Every ending carries within it the seed of beginning. Take a slow breath in. Welcoming, acceptance. Exhale slowly. Releasing resistance. Again, inhale gently. Feeling openness to change. Exhale fully. Softening into trust. When we meet change with resistance, we suffer. When we meet it with openness, we grow. Change teaches resilience, compassion, and gratitude. It asks us to let go of what was, to cherish what is, and to trust what will be. Grace in change is not passivity, it is presence. It is listening, adapting, and allowing life to guide us where we need to go. It is trusting that impermanence, though uncertain, also carries beauty. Take another breath now. Inhaling renewal. Exhale gently. Embracing peace. So tonight, as you rest, release fear of change. Trust the rhythm of impermanence. Let it soothe you, guide you, and remind you of the preciousness of now. For change is not your enemy. It is your companion, your teacher, your path to awakening. As this journey comes to a close, let us take a few breaths together to settle the heart and calm the mind. Inhale slowly, filling your lungs with peace. Exhale gently, releasing the weight of the day. Inhale calm. Exhale release. Inhale presence. Exhale peace. Notice how the breath itself carries you. Steady, quiet, free. You have walked through teachings of trust, compassion, mindfulness, and impermanence. Each one is now a lantern within you, ready to guide you not only into sleep, but into tomorrow. As you drift off, know that you are safe, know that you are enough, and know that peace is always within reach, in each breath, in each moment, in each choice, to let go. If tonight's story brought you comfort, I invite you to return whenever you need rest or guidance. And if you wish to continue exploring these calming sleep journeys, inspired by Buddhist wisdom, please subscribe to this channel. Your support allows these stories to grow, reaching others who may also need peace, calm, and rest. So rest now, rest deeply, rest in freedom, in love, in the gentle embrace of the present moment. Good night.